Hello, and welcome back to Zen and Fanfics. Today we're starting an exciting new series. What if Deku downloaded Multiverse app? If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe for more content. The story we're featuring is written by Rain-27 on archiveofourown.org. You can find all the relevant links in the description, so be sure to check out the author's profile and say hello. Now, let's dive into the story. Burned clothes, bruises, and plenty of scraps that most teens don't usually have, that could only be said for Izuku midoriya. Ever since he was 4 years old, being told he was quirkless, he was getting well acquainted with this pain, told time and time again he was useless, worthless, and could never be a hero. His biggest reminder of this was his, at one time, brother in all but BLD Katsuki Bakugo. Ever since Katsuki got his quirk, he practically made it his job to make sure everyone knew they were beneath him, and most of the time he got away with it, but thankfully, Izuku would stop Katsuki from hurting the other kids by putting himself in the line of fire. This was the kind of situation he found himself walking away from, having just stopped Katsuki from hurting a young girl with blush marks and what looked like toe beans on her fingers. He left before anyone could get in contact with his mom, and she was already stressed enough if the extra wrappers found in the trash were proof enough. Inko midoriya was many things. Blind was not one of them. Seeing her son come home with injuries, she always wanted to make sure he could be safe. So she gave him a phone that would be connected to hers, so she could always make sure he got home safe. The moment Izuku walked in the front door, he started making his way to his room and hopefully try to forget the day he just had. Thankfully, his mom was already at work, so he didn't have to try and sneak past her. So he started to shrug off his school uniform and slip into some more comfortable clothes. He pulled out his phone and started to look up some news on heroes he had heard about in passing. Not finding much, he decided to just scroll through, hoping to find something that would help take his mind off Katsuki and his friends. Accidentally pressing on an ad for the news app he was on, it took him to the App Store where he could download whatever he was allowed to by his mother. About to exit out, he noticed an app with a weird name and description. Multi-chat. Connect to anyone, anywhere, even across the universe. Izuku didn't know what caught his attention about it. It was just probably an AI chat app that wouldn't even be that good. But he was looking for anything to help take his mind off the pain, and so he would be left alone with the thoughts in his head. So he decided to download it. It wasn't anything his mother could see being bad. It didn't even set off the parental control that his mom put on it. Once finished downloading, he clicked in and looked through it, realizing that it was similar to the text app, but it had a couple of features that he noticed right away: a shop, search bar, news center, and a message. DV, thank you for downloading the Multiverse chat. In order to get started, please use the search bar to narrow down the people you want to chat with. And so we can use that data to find items you may want and to improve the app by providing new features in the future. Looking through it all, he was already impressed by what the app could do, even if it was all some clever programming. Clicking on the search bar, he started to type in something he always wanted: people like him. Full of potential, creative, brave, and willing to be heroes, even if people looked down on them or believed they wouldn't be anything but disappointments. After hitting search, it had loaded a chat, but it had a message for everyone involved. Locator has added 6 people to the chat. User 1 slides in to get away from everything. User 2, come on and we have cookies. User 3 is ready to put on a show. User 4, don't worry, no need to freak out about this burning down. User 5, ready to make everyone look fabulous. User 6, busting in with the power of youth. User 2, young? Did you accidentally add me to one of your friend group chats? User 3, I think someone may have typed in the wrong number. User 5, I think. User 6, Hinda sub with $750 asterisk hashtag divided by 38. User 4, so sijbebabeba's dollar and you are. User 3, guys, relax and type calmly. We can't understand you if you don't. DV, sorry I haven't yet gave them the information yet on how to. Give me a sec. Uploading information. Upload complete. User 4. By the All-Father, what in Helheim is this thing? And who are all of you? User 6. Thank you very much for the help, SIR. But I also have the same question. DV, you have all been selected to be added to this chat by certain parameters that have been chosen. You all have something that user 1 had selected for the people in this chat. Now that you're all here and present, I shall be taking my leave. Good day, good evening, good night. User 2. At user 1, what did he mean parameters? User 1. I want a people like me? I don't know how this all works. I thought it would be like an AI chat, but the programming is impressive. User 3. Dude, I hate tell you this, but I'm not an AI. User 4. What in Loki's name is an AI? User 5. How about we all calm down and let's start by introducing ourselves. User 1, we will start with you. Name, why we are here, and what you want to be when you grow up. User 1 has changed their name to Izuku. Izuku. Hi, my name is Izuku Midoriya, and I want to chat with people like me, and I want to be a hero like All Might. User 4. Who? User 3. Hero? User 5. Like a TV show? User 2. That's a weird way to call yourself a huntsman. Izuku. Wait, how do you not know about heroes? And no, not like a TV show like in real life. User 3. Man, I don't think you're in the real world with thoughts like that. Izuku. I think I just messed up in the worst way possible. Everyone keep introducing yourselves. User 2 has changed their name to Ruby. Ruby. Hello, I'm Ruby Rose. I just got added to this chat after just getting home from training with my sister Yang, and I want to be a huntress like my mom. User 3 has changed their name to Ren. Ren. Hi, I'm Renamamiya. I live in a small town called Naba, and I don't know what I want to do with my life just yet. User 4 changed their name to Hiccup. Hiccup. Hello, I'm Hiccup Horrendous Haddock 3. I just got hit in the head by this strange device, and I want to be a dragon-killing Viking like my father. User 5 changed their name to Mari. Mari. Hi everyone, I'm Marinette de Painchung. I was sketching some designs, and I want to be a world-class fashion designer. User 6 changed their name to Lee. Lee. Greetings, my name is Rock Lee. I was training and wish to be a truly powerful ninja with just taijutsu. Izuku. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm so sorry, but I think I just made a huge mistake. I think I just got us all put into a chat that spans the multiverse, all because I wanted to escape. Rin? What the hell do you mean? This can't be multiversely. Izuku. I just checked the news center. It's showing stuff I've never seen before, and everywhere there are no mention of heroes. Chat on. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean toji teveriona mikepami a propla migisted one teto havisamianato taktoi binsoel and nitsaminyono just. Mari, chat on. Izuku. Chat OFF. Calm down, we're not upset. Just clam down and talk to us. Ruby. Yeah, just explain why you made this chat. Izuku. I want people to talk to that could understand what I'm going through, and I thought that this was just some dumb chat app that I could just vent to. Something I could just yell into the void at, so I didn't have to be alone with the voices in my head. Rin, what kind of life do you have to try to something like this? Izuku. Almost everyone has some kind of power we call quirks, something that they all get at the age of 4, 5 at the latest. Like super strength, pulling small items to yourself, or causing explosions from your hands. But I'm part of the small percentage that doesn't have one, and because of that, people tend to not want to be around me. People tend to just push me off to the side for the ones that have strong quirks, like Kakin. They don't punish him all that much when he tries to hurt others, just a slap on the wrist if that. When I try to stop him from hurting others, they say that I'm being a disturbance, that I'm jealous of other people because I don't have a quirk. And today, I just got tired. I want to just forget today and just escape, if only until Mom gets home. Ruby, why would they do that? It's not your fault for not having a quirk. Izuku, I don't know. I'm just tired. So I just stumbled across this app and decided that seemed good enough. Hiccup. Like me, trust me, you're not the only one who feels that way. At least I can go to the forge away from everyone. Lee, I have my training. I can't use ninjutsu or jinjutsu. Everyone else in my class make fun of me for it. That's why I push myself so hard. Rin, trust me when I say this, you can do great things, man. Besides, you just got access to the best people to help. US, we can help you. We'll be here if you need to vent or need some advice. Izuku, thanks everyone, I needed this. While Izuku was sitting there, the silence of the house was broken by the front door opening and his mother calling out to him, Izuku, I'm home. Looking back to the chat, he signed off so his mom wouldn't see the chat just yet. Walking out of his room, Izuku hold his head up a little higher than normal. Maybe he can still be a hero. After all, some people just need a little bit of help, and some people to believe you can do it. Ruby, well, while we wait for him to come back, what if finish-up introductions? Ren? Sure, sounds good to me. Mari, well then, Ren, you can start us off then. Ren, fine, as I said before, I live in Inaba. It's a small city out in the country. We have a couple of things to do around here, like June's department store, but we really don't get a lot of new people coming into town. Recently, there was this new kid that moved in, and as far as I can tell, he seems fairly normal. But that's where it about ends, because a few weeks ago, there was a strange murder. Guy was found upside down from a telephone pole, and there's been this weird fog that rolls through every so often, supposedly right in line with the Midnight Channel. Ruby, Midnight Channel? Ren, yeah, local myth. If you stare into a turned-off TV at midnight on a rainy day, you will see a strange figure in there. Stuff like that. Mari, well, I have a new fear now, great. Ren, well, recently there hasn't been any news about victims, so they must have caught him. But yeah, that's my world, not much. Like I said, fairly normal, no humans with powers or stuff like that. But it's peaceful. Lee, it sounds quite nice. I hope I may get to visit it someday. Ren, why don't you go next, Lee, because I'm interested in hearing about your world and ninjas. Lee, very well. I live in the village hidden in the leaf. There are other villages with their own leaders, but ours are the third Hokage. We have had 4 so far. Ruby, what happened to the 4th? Lee, he was killed tonight. The 9-talied beast wreaked havoc on the village, killing him and his wife. The 3rd had a ceremony laying them to rest. Hiccup, sorry to hear that. At least they died together. Ren, man, took a while to hear from you. Where did you go? Hiccup, had to get somewhere a bit more private than the forge. Gobber could have walked in at any time. Then I would have had to explain why I have this weird device and where it came from, and they already hate me enough. Mari, that's something I've been wondering about, actually. I walked right past my parents with this phone, and they didn't even so much as look at it. DV, the devices all have a low-level magic and technical perception filter put on them, so that no issues would arise from a strange device being around. So long as you don't draw attention to it, they will not see it. Mari, oh, thank you for the explanation. DV, you are welcome. Hiccup, anyway, sorry to take the spot from you, Lee. Continue, please. I was wondering about those tailed beasts. Lee, they are beasts capable of causing great destruction if left unchecked. That is why they are sealed away inside of certain individuals called jinchuriki. Unfortunately, there's a great many people who have lost people they love to the tailed beasts, and because of that, they tend to hostile to the person containing them. The problem is if the jinchuriki dies, the tailed beast get unleashed. Rin, wait. You're telling us that people are beating up what is essentially a walking nuke? WTH, man? Mari, same with less cursing. Rin, I'm justified. Lee, I cannot blame them for their anger, only their actions. Ruby, it's not like they were asked to do this, were they? Lee, the way the seals work is to have a consistent supply of chakra as to not weaken the seals over time. So the more chakra some has, the more likely they are to be chosen. Hiccup, you seem to know a lot about how jinchuriki are treated. Why is that? Lee, we have one in the village, Naruto Uzumaki. He is the 9-tailed beast jinchuriki. Ruby, how old is he? Must be older than some adults. Lee, actually he's about my age. The 9 tails got sealed into him when he was a baby. That was about 6 years ago. Ruby, wait, you're 6? So am I. Hiccup, same. Mari, 7. Rin, we got other match. I'm also 7. Also, Lee, does he even know? Lee, as far as I know, no, he was never told for fear he would release it. It's also why most everyone in school was told to stay away from him, because they told us he was dangerous, but I don't think he has anyone, not even parents, to go home to. Everyone kind of just avoids him when they can. Ruby, I'm going to find a way to get over to your world. I'm going to give him a hug. Same with Izuku. Lee, I think you would appreciate the gesture. Ruby, well, I guess I'll next. I live on the planet Remnant. On this planet, there's 4 kingdoms: Atlas, Mistral, Vale, and Vacuo. I live in the kingdom of Vale with my dad and my older sister Yang, but humans aren't the only ones walking around. We also have faunus, people who have animal features, eyes, tails, and sometimes even wings. Run. You have furries? Ruby, for what? Hiccup, Carrot. Lee. Carrot. Mari. Are ye and pray that if we ever meet that I've forgotten about this, or else I will smack you. Don't worry about you three. Hiccup. Ruby. Lee. Mari. Anyway, Ruby, continue please. Ruby. Right, we also have creatures of Grimm. They can take almost any form ranging from wolves, bears, even birds. Thankfully to combat them, we have hunters and huntresses, highly trained warriors who fight off Grimm and protect the small villages who can't have the defenses of the city. Most huntsmen get trained in schools like the one me and my sister hope of going to Beacon. Our mom went there. That's how she meet our dad. They were on the same team. Next year, I'm going to Signal Academy to start training and even unlock our auras. Izuku has logged on. Izuku, auras? Ruby, Izuku. Lee, it is good to hear from you. Mari, you alright? Izuku. Yeah, I will be. Ruby, you keep going, I'm going to back read, so I want talk for a bit. Ruby, alright if you're sure. Auras are our souls manifested to act like a shield, protecting us from Grimm, even helping us heal from their attacks. Signal acts as normal school, but when you turn 10, you get to apply for the Huntsman course, and that's when you start training. And if you pass the mid-exam, get to unlock your aura if it's not already unlocked by that point. Mari, what do you mean by unlocked? Ruby, there's 2 ways to unlock your aura: a high-stress, life or death situation, or someone unlocking it for you. Most of the time, when in a high-stress situation, it unlocks right along with your semblance. Run. And now you've thrown a new term, semblance? Ruby, a power unique to everyone. No 2 are the same. Like my dad's, he can redirect the flow of force of an attack so that it goes around him or back into who he's fighting, but my sister's allows her to take whatever force hit her and deal it right back. Izuku, that sounds like how quirks work over here. Mari, already caught up? Izuku, I read fairly fast. Hiccup, man, you're quick. Run, beat me by a second. Ruby, wait, I just realized I could unlock your guys' auras. Izuku, what? Mari, could that even work? Ruby, sure it could. You just need to have a soul in order to have aura, that why Grimm don't have them. Even if you guys don't get a semblance, you'll alias be safe if you're ever in my world. Hiccup, don't mean to throw a hammer into that plan, but we don't have a way to even get into other worlds, let alone meet up. Ruby, we've got time. I probably won't be able to unlock yours until I'm about 11. That 5 years to try to find a way. It will even help Izuku with being a hero. Izuku, you do that? Ruby, of course, you're my friend, and I want to help. Izuku, thank you for the offer, but let's hold off on that for now. Besides, you said most people unlock theirs at 11, which means there's probably a lot of stress put onto the body when unlocking it. Even if we could meet up, it'd better if we wait until we're older before even trying. Mari, he's right, Ruby. We don't even know if it would work. It's no use getting worked up over something that may not even work out. Ruby, all right. Sorry, guys, I just wanted to help. Run, and we appreciate it. Besides, like you said, we got 5 years at least to work it out. I'm sure there's a way to do it. Besides, we can always ask the dev if all else fails. Hiccup, I mean, he's not wrong. I managed to take a look at the shop real quick. It had a lot of things for sale. It even recommended me a book to buy first. Mari, what book? Hiccup, Rebuild the World by Dr. Stone.jpg. Hiccup, it's supposed to have all advancements from Stone Age to current. Judging from the stuff in the preview I could read, I really want to get it and to make. Izuku, so I just checked it has some items that could help us travel to other worlds, but they are locked off. DV, certain items locked for numerous reasons, but the biggest current reason is age. As you are all children, it is reasonable to say that you shouldn't have access to that type of technology just yet. As you get older, more things in the shop will get unlocked, as well as certain unique items. Run, so it's to stop us from messing around with dangerous stuff. DEV, correct. Izuku, all right then, so we just have to wait. Might as well continue. Hiccup, I'll go next. I live on Burke. It's few days north of Hopeless and a few degrees of freezing to death. Located solidly on the meridian of misery. We've been here for 7 generations, but close to every house here is new. We have fishing, hunting, and a charming view of the sunset. The only problem are the pests. Rin, will you guys have rats or something? Hiccup, gods I wish. No other may have rats or mosquitoes. No, we have dragons. Ruby, what? Like from fairy tales? Hiccup, If by fairy tales you mean giant fire-breathing lizards that sometimes like to set themselves on fire, then yeah, it's just like the fairy tales. Anyway, the leader of our tribe is my father Stoic the Vast. Rumors say he once popped the head of a dragon off its shoulders as a baby. Do I believe this? Yes. Yes, I do. Ren, dude, even you have to say that can't be true. Hiccup. I have seen him pick up one of the carts we used to move supplies and hit a gronkle that was charging him with it and knocked it away. So yeah, I believe it. Lee, he must be incredibly strong to be able to do that. You must be proud to have him as a father. Hiccup. Somewhat, he's not bad, but he's a bit disappointed in me that I'm not like the typical Viking, big and strong like him. He looks at me like someone skimped out on the meat in his sandwich. He decided to throw me into the forge with Gabber, the only person in the whole village that tolerates me, just to get me out of the way. Mari, what about your mom? Hiccup. Gone. She got snatched up by a dragon that managed to get into our house when I was a baby. Dad's all I got left. Ruby. Sorry to hear that. My mom died as well, left for a mission in the middle of the night, and never came back. Dad was messed up for months. Hiccup? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he thinks I'm just going to break apart right in front of him. That's why I want to get stronger, so that he can be proud of me. Lee, that is truly a marvelous goal. Have you tried to start training with some other kids? Hiccup. Nope, they just do the same as their parents. Think of me as the joke of the village. Lee. Well, my classmates believe me to be a joke because I don't have access to ninjutsu or jinjutsu, but my guy sensei is helping me train. I could ask him for a training plan for everyone. Hiccup. I'd appreciate that. Mari. Well, I guess I'll wrap us up then for the night. Me world is pretty normal. Just you average French girl, living with her parents who run a bakery. It's always nice to wake up to the smell of fresh bread in the morning. But yeah, my life is pretty normal compared to the rest of you guys. Anyway, we should get off soon. It's getting pretty late, and I still have homework to complete. Izuku. Yeah, you're right, night, everyone. Lee. I will try and talk to Guy Sensei before getting back on tomorrow. Ruby, night, guys. Ren. See ya. Mari has logged out. Izuku has logged out. Ren has logged out. Ruby is logged out. Lee is logged out. Izuku POV. The morning is here. The morning is here. The more dash. Yon here's hoping today will be better, Izuku said after turning off his alarm. Reaching over for his phone, still seeing, the app finally cemented that for as weird and improbable as it can be, the multiverse does exist. This opens so much of what we know of the universe as a whole, unexplored avenues of science that were left behind when quirks started showing up. Technological advancements to healthcare, we just got access to it. And if half the stuff I saw in the shop even works only once, we could reverse engineer Izuku. It's time to wake up. Inko shouted for him. After knocking him out a near rant spiral he almost found himself in. Right. Time to get ready for school. I almost wish I could go to the one in Ren's world. At least I could pass off as a normal kid with dyed hair, rubbing his hand through his hair. No point in thinking about that stuff right now. Focus on getting through the day without getting Kaken upset at me. Izuku thought of finally getting up and heading to the bathroom to get ready for the day. 15 minutes later, Izuku walks in the dining room, ready to eat breakfast and talk to his mom. A 5 feet 3 inches woman, with hair as green as trees in the middle of spring, gaining a little bit of weight from stress, but has a smile that can brighten up a room. Morning, honey, how well did you sleep last night? Inko said, placing the food on the table. Pretty good. I managed to finish up my homework pretty quickly, all things considered. Izuku said, starting to eat breakfast. That's good, sweetie. Don't forget that we are heading over to the Bakugos later to celebrate their new clothing line that just came out, said Inko, not seeing the look of shock on Izuku's face. All right, I won't forget. Anyway, I better get going. I don't want to be late for school. Quickly finishing up his food and rushing for the door. Inko POV, getting out the door before Inko had the chance to say, wait, I wanted to talk to you about Dash. The door finally closing the app, the sentence finally finished. Sitting there in the silence of the house, before finally pulling out her phone to see the app sitting there on her screen. She decided to open it to see what it was in its entirety. When first opening it, she got the introductory message. The only difference was the chat that was already there. Deciding to hold off for a bit, she started to look through it, finally finding the Help Q&A section of it. Reading through it, she stumbled upon a contact option. Clicking on it, she assumed it would open a personal message. Waiting for someone to answer, she decided to open the chat. Looking through it, seeing everything that was written, she thought it was just the work of children with overactive imaginations, thinking some of them were quite dark. Making sure to look up how close Inaba was to Mustafa later, she almost deleted the app when it came up, not wanting her son to see that news. I would hold off until you fully understand the situation at hand, and a voice called out, startling her out of her thoughts. Looking around for the source, she found it sitting on the guest chair, almost looking as if they were always there. A figure dressed in all black, wearing a long black coat with the hood up, not seeing any features of their face. Sitting there, legs crossed, waiting for her to respond. WWWHO are you? And how did you get in my house? Yelling at them while dialing the police. Whoa, slow down, you call me here. For help with the app, right? The figure said, arms placating peace. The app? You're the help from it. Inko spoke, fingers still hovering over the call button. Yep, normally I would have talked through the app, but I figured with everything you're about to find out, it was better to give you a personal explanation. They said, finally leaning back into the chair. Who are you? And give me a good reason not to call the police for breaking and entering. Inko said with a firm voice, but still with a hint of nervousness. I'll get to that, but first there is someone I think you should call. Thankfully, he's working in the very precinct you were about to call. He has the very ability you'll need to believe me. Ask for the leading detective. The figure said, letting their words hang in the air. Inko thought about what they said, finally thinking it was the best course of action. Hit the call button, ring, asterisk, read dash, asterisk. Hello, Mustafa Police Department. How may I help you? The responder asked. Inko, trying to find the right words, finally said, Hi, my name is Inko Midoriya. I was hoping to speak to the leading detective. Of course, let me get him real quick. A couple of moments later, a new voice answered. Hello, this is Detective Tsukachi speaking. Who is this? This Inko Midoriya. I don't know how to say this, but someone said I should get into contact with you. They're currently sitting in my living room after just appearing, and I never let them in. Never once taking her eyes off them. Are they still there? Are you in danger? Tsukachi spoke, voice now lined with urgency. Yes, but they asked me to call you. I was hoping you could help, please. Inko spoke, hoping to finally start getting some answers. Detective, I would ask to make sure you have everything you may need. It may be a bit disorientating. The figure spoke for the first time since the call started. Snapping his fingers, a new person appeared right in front of them. The man stood 5'11", with black hair, dark eyes, wearing a white dress shirt and a green tie. The man quickly gathered his bearings, locked eyes on the figure, and put himself between them and Inko. Who are you, and how did you bring me here? Tsukachi spoke, readying himself for a possible fight. You may call me Desmond, and I'm the assistant to the developer of the Multiverse app, Desmond said, finally revealing his name. I brought you here for a few reasons. One, to calm a mess, midoriya, and to make her feel safe. Two, your quirk allows you to know when someone is lying to you and telling half-truths. And finally, three, I need you to believe what is happening, so a certain symbol doesn't come crashing in here, believing the people here work for all for one when they don't. Desmond said, words retaining a certain edge to them. Tsukachi's eyes now widen at the mention of that devil in a three-piece suit. How do you know that name? Hand moving to his service weapon. I know everything I need to know about this world and everyone in it. Now, if it will appease you both, allow me to say this. I will not cause any harm to you both, and will speak nothing but the truth. Is that good enough for you, detective? Desmond said, crossing his arms, waiting for a response. Truth, and you're answering every question I have. And no half-truths either. Finally relaxing, if only a little bit, never removing his hand from his service weapon. Just an Inko spoke up. Okay, what exactly are you here for? Desmond took a deep breath and spoke. Might as well get comfortable. It's going to be a long story. Telling them everything about the chat and what is to come. Izuku POV. Finally slowing down from the sudden sprint from the house he found himself in. He took the time to collect his thoughts, which have been running wild. I don't even know where to start with telling her everything, and I definitely can't explain the chat and where it came from. I just hope Lee is having better luck with Might Guy than me. Falling into a decent pace on his way to school, Passing overhead, he could hear the sound of what sounded like a jet taking off. Looking up, he spotted Airjet soaring through the sky. He's going pretty fast. There must be a villain attack up ahead. Reaching into his pocket, he feels around for what should have been there, but wasn't his analysis journal. Where is it? It was supposed to be right here, feeling around for it. A thought finally hit him. It's back in my room on my desk, crude, and I can't run back there, or else I'll be late for class. Maybe the chat has one I could buy, slightly muttering to himself as he pulled out his phone, stopping by a nearby alley. He started to go through what a chat offered. Scrolling through the store, he stumbled across something that caught his eye. Yggdrasil Journal, a journal made by twin Droth brothers Brock and Sindri. This journal is a copy of their original journal made from the bark of the world tree and refined by their expert skill. This journal would allow the owner to write their thoughts and ideas without worrying of running out of pages or it being damaged. It also allows whatever is written inside of it can't be seen by those the owner does trust. Because even if the brothers butt heads on techniques and lifestyles, they still agree that certain things must stay hidden even from the all-seeing eye of Odin. Izuku stared at the item in question before deciding to buy it. Clicking the option pulled up a display where he could use physical money to purchase the journal. Paying for it, all of a sudden a flying creature just showed up in front of him, white fur, dark purple wings, rabbit-like ears, and a redhead palm. As weird as it looks, Izuku wasn't ready for it to say, "Thank you for your patronage coupon," disappearing just as quickly as it showed up. The only thing that let him know it happened was the journal now in his hand. What was that? Needless to say, he couldn't wrap his head around what just happened. Standing there for a few minutes, Izuku decided to just move past it for now. After all, panic attacks were for when you get home, he started to write down his thoughts about hero news as he went. About the time he showed up at Alder Elementary, he didn't even realize he was almost late, thankfully just barely able to sit down just as the bell rang. As the day went on, he almost believed today would be a good day, if not for the group of people who managed to catch up with him at lunch. Pulling him into a nearby deserted hallway, there stood Katsuki Bakugo, hands already smoking as if to darken his ashen blonde hair. "There you are, Deku. I was almost wondering if you were trying to avoid your punishment for yesterday," he said, words laced with venom. "KKK-chan, I wasn't going to let you hurt her. You know that you can't just attack someone just because they want to be a hero." Izuku managed to stutter out, looking for a way out before he even finished. "That doesn't matter, Deku. I'm the only one deserving of being a hero, and Round Face should have understood that and become my stepping stone. Now that glory falls to you," Bakugo said, with an evil smile on his face. In the time it took to take a breath, Bakugo was already hitting Izuku, beating him down, making sure there were no marks in places that people would see. Izuku, even through all the pain, still managed to keep aware of what was happening. After a short time later, the blows slowed. Starting to uncover his head, he looked for the reason why, and there stood one of Bakugo lackeys. Wings, he called them, holding the journal he bought just today. "How did you get Deku?" "How to steal off someone else. There's no way you could have bought this. It's too nice for someone as useless as you." Tossing to Bakugo so he could decide what to do, Bakugo caught the leather-bound journal and, looking at Izuku, kicked him in the stomach and yelled, "Where do you get this from? And how many times do I have to tell you? You'll never be a hero, so cut it out with your Staker notebooks." Blowing up the journal for good measure. Once the smoke cleared, the journal looked no worse for wear. That only caused Bakugo to try harder to break it. "What the hell?" Bakugo sneered, trying to open it, not finding any purchase on the cover. The other lackey chimed in, "Bakugo, we need to get going. Lunch is almost over," he said, keeping an eye out to make sure no one got close. Bakugo glared at him. "Shut the F up, fingers, I know that," he said, finally deciding to throw the book out the window. "Listen close, Deku. I'm the only one in this whole building that deserves to be a hero, and you better get that through your dumb head, or else I'll fix the mistake Annie made by having you." Leaving Izuku there on the ground, heading back to class. As Izuku laid there, body sore, screaming at him for just taking the hits, after a while he managed to pull himself to his feet. Taking a few small steps, using the wall as a crutch, started to head to the window, to see where his journal landed. Looking around, he managed to find it just a couple of feet away from the building. Deciding that he was already going to be late, went to go grab it. As he started to move, a notification went off on his phone. Taking out to look at it, he noticed that he had something in his inbox, a gift from someone. Clicking on the tab, it looked like a small Rubik's Cube. Thankful there was a note that came along with it. Hello, Izuku. As a gift for making you first purchase from the shop, we have decided to sponsor you a little gift we hope you will find quite useful. Ghost. This drone is a copy, made from the blueprints of the helpers and assistants of a group known as Guardians. Meant to help warriors selected by the Traveler, this ghost has most of the same functions. Being able to pull up a map of the surrounding area. Enemy detection. Storage device. Scanner. Communication relay. Healing matrix. Onboard AI assistant. Some more notable features weren't able to replicate it. Revive system. Transmat system. Weapon creation system. Vehicle creation system. We hope that you find the little guy helpful, and hope you continue to use the chat shop. MC support team. Izuku had only a few moments before the device activated, floating up, stopping just at his eye level. Parts started to shift and rotate before stopping. The main lens lit up and shifted a range of colors before settling on green. Hello, Guardian. How may I assist you? It spoke, a voice seemingly echoing through his head. What the? Sorry, why did you call me Guardian? Izuku said, standing up as straight as he could. All people who have a ghost are given the title Guardian. Do you wish to be called by a different title? It rotated, almost as if tilting its head. Just call me Izuku. I'm not really worthy of that kind of title. Izuku said, still heading outside. As you wish, Izuku. Taking the time to do a brief scan. Izuku, I'm detecting several injuries. Would you like to heal you? It asked inquisitively. Sure, I would be very grateful for that, Izuku said while walking through the empty halls of the school, finally nearing the door outside. One moment, please, it said, beginning the process. As it went on, the sting of the wound started to fade, and 5 minutes later it was done. Healing complete, it said after the last bit of pain vanished. Thanks. I don't think I ever caught your name, Izuku said, finally breathing normally. Us ghosts don't have names, usually defaulting to being called Ghost or by our designation number. Ghost said, still floating around and scanning Izuku. Then what was yours? I don't want to keep calling you in it, or Ghost in my head. Izuku said, finally reaching his journal. My designation was RX-7279, said Ghost. Izuku, now looking properly at the ghost, noticed that its color scheme reminded him of the red dog in that game he watched his dad play once. What was his name? How about Red 9? That way it has the first and last of your designation. Plus the color scheme reminds me of him. And when shortened, it's R9. Izuku spoke, hoping the ghost would go for it. Very well, Izuku, my name is Red 9, or 9 for short. By the way, I sent a copy of your injuries to the contact labeled Mom on your phone, as well as a small copy of your memories to show how you got them. R9 said in a calm voice, as if he didn't just drop the biggest bomb right in Izuku's face. What? Why would you do that? Also, how did you get a copy of my memories? Now starting to freak out, he didn't want his mom to find out, and certainly not like this. When you activated me, I scanned your brain waves in order to know what language you were speaking. Also, it allows me to recall events so I can give better choices to you in the future. Did I do something wrong, Izuku? R9 said, waiting for Izuku to respond. Why did you send it to her? Izuku managed to finally find his voice again. I didn't want her to know because it would ruin her friendship with Andy Mitsuki. Almost starting to shout. It is my job to assist you with any and all problems you might face. Law dictates that when a child is hurt, their parents or legal guardian must be informed as soon as possible. R9 spoke, justifying his decision. But this could ruin Kaken's chance at becoming a hero. I would be responsible if that happened, Izuku said, hoping he could stop the situation at hand. From the short interaction I've seen, he doesn't seem to be a friend. He more resembles an enemy, a bully at best, a villain in the making at worst. R9 said, words carrying a hint of confusion. Why do you keep defending his actions and keep demeaning your injuries and feelings? R9 asked. Because everyone says so, I'm useless, worthless and Kakin is great and has a strong quirk. Everyone says so. Besides, no one believes in me, not my classmates, not Kakin, not even Mom. So who would now? All his emotions come flooding out. Unable to hold back his tears, Izuku fell to his knees. No word spoken between the two of them until. So let me be the first then, I believe in you. I know how smart you are. You could come up with a plan to fight anyone given enough time. You're brave enough to put yourself in the line of fire to protect the innocent. And finally, you're strong enough to keep getting back up. R9 said, floating down to look Izuku in the eye. If you weren't worthy to be called a guardian, I wouldn't have turned on. So yes, you're worthy to be believed in. And I can't think of a more worthy person being called a guardian. If I can believe, so can others. So, come on. I don't think you need to be here at this school anymore. R9 said. Izuku looked at R9. But what about Kakin? Isn't he still my friend? In such a small voice. Maybe at one point, but not anymore. You've given him enough chances. R9 looked around. We should get out of here. First, let's get your stuff. Head to the front. I'll get your things. Picking himself up, Izuku wiped his eyes. Won't they see you? No. I would be a terrible ghost if I couldn't make sure people didn't notice me. See you at the front door. R9 responds, flying off to grab Izuku's things. After leaving, Izuku started to head to the front, still repeating everything that happened between him and Bakugo over the last 2 years. Am I really worth all the effort? I mean, just a Deku. Like Casey. I believe in you, snapping him out of his thoughts. You're my friend, and I want to help. You can do great things, man. If nothing else, they're my friends, and they believe I can. So I will, even if Casey, Katsuki, Jeep's beating me down, I'll keep going all with a smile on my face. Ready to go, Izuku? Turning his head to see R9 there. But before he could respond, he got a notification. Izuku, when you get home, we need to talk about some things, starting with the app, Mom. Honestly? Not really, but this needs to happen right. Izuku asked. R9 nodded. Yes, it needs to. Guardian said in a playful tone. Then let's go, Red. It's going to be a long day when we get back home. I can only imagine how everyone else's day was. Izuku said, walking away from school. Apparently, the person known as Lee got into a fight with a group of people over someone named Naruto. What? Rock Lee POV. After leaving the academy early, thank you, Guy-sensei, for talking to the teachers who teach ninjutsu and jinjutsu. Lee started to head to the training ground where Guy-sensei was waiting for him. Heading through Konoha, Lee took his time walking there, not really in a rush, and thankful he had the time to think about what he was going to say to Guy-sensei. After all, he promised the chat he would talk to him about seeing if he would help with training them. Not sure how he could explain it. This might be more difficult than I thought, Lee thought, trying to wrap his head around the problem before him. As he neared the field, he could hear the sounds of fighting. Heading towards a noise, he could start to see a group of people. As he got closer, he could see they were beating up someone on the ground. He got close enough to hear what they were saying. You demon demon, you're nothing but a curse. One of the boys said, while kicking the one on the ground. Lee couldn't just let them hurt whoever it was, so he took off as fast as he could, barely registering the noise coming from his pocket. Dynamic entry. Lee screamed while flying in with a kick to the boy. The sudden attack caused them all to look at Lee, face contorted in confusion, wondering why they were the ones being attacked. What the hell are you doing? He's the one you should be attacking, not us. One of the other boys yelled. Taking the chance to look behind him, he saw a boy with blonde hair, marks on his face almost reminding him of Whiskers. The boy he had saved was the one he had told everyone about in the chat, Naruto Uzumaki. Face now covered in bruising and BLD, Lee looked back at the other boys. Now do you see? They sneered. He deserves this. He's the one who caused our family all that pain. We're just making sure that he gets the punishment he deserves, the boys said, believing they were right. No, this isn't right. He's not the one who hurt them. You're doing this because, no one would stop you. Lee responded, his voice firm and resolute. And I will not let you continue doing this. Preparing to fight. Well said, Lee, spoke a new voice, loud as thunder. Looking where it came from, stood a man 6'FT, wearing a green jumpsuit, a green tactical vest, and orange leggings. I was wondering why you were late, but seeing this mess, now I understand, Guy said. Now, what are you boys going to do? He said, taking a spot next to Lee. Nervously, the boys picked up the one Lee kicked and left, leaving the three of them alone. All right now, how about you tell me what happened, Lee? Guy said, I was on my way to meet up with you, Guy-sensei. However, I heard them attacking him, and I couldn't just turn my back, said Lee. And I'm proud of you because of that. If they ever give you trouble, let me know, and I'll handle them. Guy said, giving Lee a thumbs up. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to cancel training today to take this mess to the third Hokage, Guy said with a long sigh. Wait, Guy-sensei, I have something to ask first. Lee spoke, trying to get his words out. I was wondering if I could ask you to come up with a training plan for my friends, Lee asked, looking Guy in the eyes. May I ask, who are these friends? Guy asked. I don't think you would believe me, sensei, if I told you the truth. Lee replied. Well, do you trust them, Lee? Guy asked. Yes, I trust them. They're good people. Then I'll trust you just as much, Lee. Guy said with warmth in his voice. But first, let's help him out. Guy finished, looking Naruto over. He'll be all right, just needs some rest, and maybe a checkup after he wakes up, just to be sure. Guy said as he finished up, help me carry him back. I don't want to just leave him out here. Guy said as he started to move the unconscious boy. Lee ran over and helped him put the kid on his back. All right, let's head over to the third Hokage. He'll have wanted to hear about this. Then we could talk about those workout plans. Guy said, as the two of them started to walk towards the mountain. As the two of them carried him back to the Hokage's office. On the way, they spoke about how Lee's day was and about why he had decided to jump in. I came to realize something recently. He never had a choice in the matter of being a jinchuriki, did he? Lee asked. No, he didn't. He was just the closest at the time. Supposedly, it was the fourth who put the nine-tailed beast into him. Guy said, looking down, while remembering a few memories of the fourth. Guy-sensei. Lee looked at his teacher, seeing sadness in his eyes. I never did find out about. After a few moments, Guy finally spoke. Only a select few know the full story of what happened that night, but I was close enough to someone that I heard they were having a kid. Guy said, looking up at the monument on the side of the mountain. What happened to him? Lee asked, wondering. The only one who knows the full story is the third. He was the one who found their bodies after the incident. Guy said, as he started up the stairs, after shaking thoughts out of his head. But that doesn't really matter. Right now, we need to inform the third, so we can figure out how to solve this mess. Guy said, setting Naruto down just outside the 3RD's office. Mind waiting out here and watching over him while I go inside? Guy asked, making sure the kid didn't get hurt. Yes, sir, Guy-sensei, he said, giving a little salute. As Guy went in, Lee sat down next to the kid, looking at him, wondering why they weren't at the academy. After a few minutes, he finally remembered about the chat giving off a sound. After making sure nobody else was in the hall, he took the phone out of his hip pack. Upon clicking on the app, he noticed what looked to be a quest board, like the ones in the village for small tasks. Clicking on it, he was flooded with notifications. Save the Kitsune. Stop the kids from hurting Naruto Uzumaki. Rewards for successfully completing the quest. White heavy check mark. 1. Jeet Kyun Do training scroll. For failing to help Naruto. Cross mark. Naruto lashes out at people. Cross mark. Has a harder time trusting people. Cross mark. More likely to hate the village. Bonus objectives. White heavy check mark. Get Might Guy to help. Reward. White heavy check mark. 1. Water stream. Rock. Smashing fist scroll. White heavy check mark. A phone from Might Guy. Cross mark. Fight the boys off by yourself. Reward. Cross mark. 1. Key tablet. Cross mark. 1. Turtle Hermit School scroll. Get Naruto to trust you. Still in progress. 1. Meitai training scroll. A phone for Naruto Uzumaki. Looking at the quest, Lee couldn't have been more proud of himself. He managed to make the right call on wanting to help. He even got rewarded. He would have to look and see what the other reward was later, but he was happy he could explain the chat to Guy-sensei even easier. Hearing a bit of shuffling next to him, he put the phone away. Glancing over, he saw Naruto starting to wake up. Ugh, where am I? And who the hell are you, bushy brow? Naruto asked, just coming out of the daze he was in. We were sitting outside of the third Hokage's office waiting for my sensei, and my name is Rock Lee. Lee said, holding his hand out to shake. Naruto looked at the appendage, then finally scoffed. I'm not that dumb. You just join in with the rest of them when I finally bring my guard down, he said, bringing his knees up to his chest and resting his arms on them. Why would I join them? Lee asked, looking confused. Why wouldn't you? They beat me up, curse me, or just straight up ignore me. So why not you? Naruto grumbled, eyes taking a red coloring for a brief moment. Hell, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. I always get blamed when I'm the one being attacked, he said through gritted teeth as he punched the ground. Lee looked down and could see the small cracks left from the impact. I'm just a cursed child that no one is willing to put down for some reason. Naruto spoke, finally starting to calm down. Both of them just sat there in silence. Minutes seemed to stretch into hours. Finally breaking the silence of the situation, I understand what you mean. It's not fair, lots of things in life aren't, Lee said, letting his words sink in. I might not know what it's like to be hated as much as you, but I do know what it's like to be hated and made fun of, he said, finally looking at Naruto. But I want to help, and maybe all you really need is a friend. So let me say, hello, my name is Rock Lee, Lee said, hoping to help Naruto. And why should I trust you, bushy brows? Naruto asked, eyes narrowing. Because I don't think you need to be alone anymore, and because this might help the village to start treating you better. Lee responded, what do you mean? If I'm willing to hang out with you, then it might show that you're not all that bad as people believe you are, Lee said, still holding his hand out. Naruto looked at the hand. As the moment stretched on, Naruto decided to drop his guard, if only a little bit. He took Lee's hand and shook back. Naruto Uzumaki, nice to meet you, I guess. When they finished, the sound of a bell went off in the hallway, covered by the sound of a door opening up. Looking at the door, both boys could see Guy walking out of the office, clearly upset at something. Seeing both boys looking at him, Guy shook his head, happy both of them were fine. Come on, you two. Let's get out of here. Ushering both boys outside, not wanting to stay here anymore. Heading outside, Lee asked Guy Sensei what happened. Taking a deep breath, Guy replied saying, nothing you two need to worry about. As much as you want to help Lee, you're too young to worry about my problems, smiling at the boys. It was about me, right? Naruto asked, seemingly already knowing the answer. Guy sighed. Yes, it was. I may disagree with the actions he takes, but I still have to listen to him. Like I told him, gesturing to Lee, nobody in this village cares what happens to me. Lee thought for a moment before smiling. What if there were people who did care that weren't in the village? The others looked at Lee in confusion. What do you mean by that, Lee? Guy asked. Follow me, Lee said, running back to the training ground near the edge of the village. As they arrived at the grounds, Naruto and Guy both saw Lee pull out a strange device. Lee, what is that? Guy had asked. But before Lee could respond, there was a bright flash. Two more of the devices fell into their hands. The moment they made contact with the device, information started to flood their brains. When it was done, Lee looked at them and started to explain everything. When he was added to the chat, the other friends Lee had mentioned to Guy, and finally the reason Lee had asked Guy for help. After Lee was finished, the both of them looked as if everything they knew was flipped on its head. As they were working through it, Lee decided to let the others know what had happened to him. Multi-chat room. Lee, everyone, I've decided to tell Guy Sensei about the chat. Also, I might have gotten into a fight, but I got some rewards for helping Naruto. Ren Lee, I think I speak for everyone when I say this. What the hell? Mari, less cursing, but mostly the same, what happened? Lee, I may have decided to kick someone in the face that was hurting him. Ren, good man. Mari, REN. Ren, what? They deserved it. Stupid games, stupid prizes. Hiccup, before we let off topic, you told your sensei about the chat? Lee, yes, I had asked him about making up workout plans for everyone if they wanted them. Mari, and how did you get them to believe you? Lee, the app had given me a quest to do that gave me 2 more phones for both of them. Ren, so why did you add Naruto? Lee, I want to help him by making everyone see he's not as bad as the village makes him out to be. Ruby, well, that does make sense. Where are they? Lee, upload shocked faces.png. Right there. Ren, Mari, Ruby. Hiccup, run. Ha 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 ha. Ruby, hee hee hee. Mari, stop laughing. You two, this is serious. Hiccup, I mean, it's a little funny, Mari, you have to admit. Izuku has logged on. Izuku, Lee, what happened? Rin? Ah, I was wondering when you show up. Izuku. Rin, not the time. Lee. Why was it when I was walking home after a massive revelation, did I hear from Red that you got into a fight? Ruby. I didn't say anything, though. Izuku. Different Red Ruby. Lee, are you good? Lee. Yes, I am. Not didn't get hit. It wasn't even a real fight. I just kicked someone away. Izuku. All right, then. Sorry about that. I'm just a little worried. Hiccup. If this is a little, I fear what happens when you get really upset. Rin. Now then, who's Red? Izuku. My ghost. I got him when I ordered something from the chat shop. Ruby. Oh, do you have a picture of him? Izuku. Upload cell life of him and red9.png. Mari. Oh, you look quite nice, Izuku. Rin. Yeah. I'm inclined to agree, Green Bean. Ruby. Yeah, you look good, Izuku, and also Red looks so cool. What's all the stuff he can do? Izuku. Heals me outside of fighting, storage, map, enemy detection, communication relay, and it even scans things so I can analyze them later and even try to build from the blueprints he still has in his memory banks. Ruby. Oh, can you send me some of those plans? Oh man, now I want my own ghost. Izuku. I mean, I got mine as a gift from a sponsor. Even then, mine has limits. He may have the plans, but he can't fabricate them. Mari. Still, everything else is still pretty good, all things considered. Ren. Yeah, I mean, healing alone is a good enough reason to get one. You said you got it after buying something from the shop? Izuku. Yeah, I bought a new journal that only I and those I trust can open it. Supposedly, it's a copy from two dwarf brothers. Hiccup. I'm sorry, dwarf brothers? You mean you have a copy of a journal made by Brock and Sindri? Izuku. Yeah, it was really reasonably priced. Hiccup. What else is in the shop? Mari. Hiccup. I get it. You're excited, but you need to calm down. Ren. I think he's not listening anymore. But still good for you, man. I just hope I can get something cool soon. Mari. Same. Ruby. Carrot. Izuku. Anyway, I'm almost home, and I still don't know where to start with explaining everything. Ruby, like all good stories from the beginning. Mari, I would agree. It's best to start and work from there. Izuku. Well, Red already uploaded a video to her, so I really can't hide it from her anymore. Mari, how bad? Izuku. According to Red, multiple fractures along my ribs, some internal bruising, and light first-degree burns. Ruby. How has he not been arrested yet? Izuku. It's my word against his and the school's. But hopefully I won't be there anymore starting soon. Rin? What do you mean, like switching to somewhere else? Izuku. More like online. It would be the best. Work at my own pace, free up more time for me to train, and maybe pick up a few skills I might need if I get into UA. Ruby, when? Not if. You will get into UA if we have anything to say about it. Run, and we do. Mari, it's good you already have a plan in place. Izuku. More like a series of first steps. But yeah, no more feeling bad for myself. I'll have to work twice, if not 10 times harder than everyone else. I have to get started sooner than later. Lee. Well, thankfully, Guy Sensei just snapped out of whatever happened, and he's willing to help. He was moved by your words of youth, and will help you to reach your goal. Ren, words of youth. Who says that? Izuku, really? He'll help? Lee, yes. Ruby, looks like everything is going smoothly. Hiccup. Okay. I'm back, and I might have made an impulse buy. Mari, what did you buy? Hiccup. I wanted to see what other things were in the shop, and I came across the almanac again, and well. Really, you bought it? Hiccup. Yeah, but I also got an item from a sponsor, something called a bag of holding, and inside was what looked to be a spyglass with dragon markings on it. I don't know what it is, so I put it back in a bag. When I did, I accidentally put the book in there without realizing what I did, and it wasn't until I got to the forge that the book fit inside the bag, despite it being bigger than the bag itself. So needless to say, I kind of got carried away to see how much it could hold. So I shoved all my tools into it, and by the time I was done, I managed to fit almost the entire forge into it. Ruby, that doesn't sound so bad. Hiccup, yeah, except I don't know how to get them back out without causing a giant mess. Izuku, okay, calm down. If it's anything like my journal, it will respond to your thoughts. Try to think of the tool you want. Hiccup, okay, that worked. Thanks, Izuku. Izuku, you're welcome. I'm outside my front door. I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Izuku has logged out. Ren, All right, let's hope. His mom will hopefully listen to him. Mari, she should. She wants what's best for him. Ren, yeah, but that may not line up with what he wants. Ruby, he'll be fine. I think if she's anything like Izuku, she'll listen. Lee, still, let's log off. I still need to train for the day, and I believe you guys are still in school. Run. All right, talk later. Mari, same. Ruby, by waving hand. Lee, Mari, Ren, and Ruby have logged out. Izuku POV. Approaching the front door, I could help but feel a bit nervous about what was going to happen. Steeling myself, I opened the door and stepped inside. I'm home, I said, taking my shoes off before walking further in. As I walked into the living room, I noticed it wasn't just my mom sitting there. Ah, Izuku, you're home early. Although that might be for the best, if the message I got was anything to go by. Inko said, voice teetering on the edge of calm and panicking. I'm fine, Mom. All healed up thanks to friend. Izuku said, here you can meet him. Red, say hi. A few seconds later, R9 showed himself to both the adults. Hello there. My name is Red 9. A pleasure to meet you both. Red said, introducing himself. It's nice to meet you. You already know who I am. And this is Detective Tsukauchi. Inko replied to Red 9. It's nice to meet you, sir. I'm assuming you're here because of the message Red sent? Izuku asked, setting his bag down before taking a seat. Originally, no. I was here because I was called by your mother in regards to the app. Tsukauchi said, stressing a certain word. Izuku looked at him in shock. What app? I don't know what you're talking about. Izuku said, trying to calm down. It's all right, I know about it. And so does your mother. Tsukauchi said, trying to calm Izuku. Okay, but how do you know about the app? Izuku had asked, looking at his mom. Inko had taken a glance at Tsukauchi before focusing on her son. She then started to tell Izuku everything that had happened, from meeting Desmond to getting the message from Red 9. Izuku sat there, letting the weight he had felt from the anxiety of the situation fall from his shoulders. Finally, Inko asked, why didn't you tell me that Katsuki was hurting you? Izuku thought for a moment before saying, I didn't want you to lose your friendship with Annie Mitsuki. I thought he would stop after a while, but now I don't think he'll ever stop until it's too late, he said, putting his arms on his knees. I want to help him to get back the old Kakin, but I can't keep lying to myself and hoping he changes. I need to better myself first so that when we fight I can prove to him that I could be a hero, said Izuku, voice speaking with confidence, not before seen by Inko. Don't you mean if? Said Tsukauchi. No, I mean when he won't just let me leave. He needs to prove that he's right, that he's the best, and that I'm just a pebble to kick around. He won't stop until I'm beaten so badly that I never get in his way again, said Izuku, shadows starting to cover his eyes. From the short memory I have of him, that would be an accurate statement. Thankfully, I can help slightly. The more I see him fight, the better I can predict what his next move might be. Red spoke up. Maybe, however, unless we have proof to back up the claims, he can just walk away without a mark, said Tsukauchi. What about the message Red 9 sent me? Shouldn't that be enough proof? Spoke Inko. Only how bad he was injured, not who did it. But it is enough for me to start looking into that school, see how far it goes. I'll let you both know when I get some more information, said Tsukauchi, bowing to them both. When he stood up straight, he handed over a card to both of them. This has my number, so if something happens, contact me, he said before walking out of the front door. Sitting there for a few minutes, Izuku told his mom that he wanted to SWCH over to online schooling. Inko almost instantly agreed, not wanting her son to be hurt anymore. That being decided, they started to look over options. As they were looking through options, Izuku stumbled across one that had an engineering program, one that would allow him to get the experience needed to start building some of the blueprints that Red had. Hey Mom, I think I found the one I want to take, he said, showing his mom the program. After looking at it, she responded, Are you sure? It might be a bit difficult. Yeah, but that's why I need to. I need to work harder than everyone else, or else I won't be able to keep up with them and be dead weight. Izuku nodded his head before answering. Inko, looking deep in thought, finally decided, all right, but I want to know everything. Every workout, project, homework. Everything. I don't want any more secrets between us. I know nothing is going to change your mind, but I want to make sure you're safe until you can protect yourself. If you can agree to that one rule, I'll agree with you on starting that program," she said, holding out her hand with tears in her eyes. Taking the hand, Izuku pulled his mom into a hug. "I promise, no more secrets, besides I doubt Red would let me," he said, pulling away from the hug. "You are correct. I would tell her the instant you do something that could hurt you," Red said, chiming in. "All right then, you'll probably need a laptop for the schooling. I doubt the family computer would be able to keep up," Inko said, wiping her eyes. "Don't worry about that. While I was in the shop earlier, I noticed it had a laptop in it, so I'll just buy that. For right now, I need to explain everything to everyone in the chat," Izuku said, pulling up the app. Looking at it, he noticed he had a few more bits of mail, but he decided to wait to open them. MC. Izuku. Hey at everyone. Run. Hey, what's up? Mari. Everything all right? Izuku. Yeah, I just wanted everyone here, so I could tell you guys what was going on. Rin. Oh. Okay then. By the way, did you guys get any mail from the chat? Mari. Mail? Rin. I got some items sent to me. A music player and a pair of glasses with a note saying to help with the fog. Hiccup fog? Rin. No clue, but hey, at least I'll look good with them on. Mari. Well, I just checked, and someone sent me a sewing machine and a top-of-the-line model at that. I also got a music player. Ruby. Same, although I got something called a pod. Izuku pod? Ruby. Yeah, look. Izuku. Huh. It reminds me of Red. Ruby. Same. Anyone else? Lee. I also got a music player and my rewards for my quest. Hiccup. Same, and a book on swordsmanship. Izuku. Huh. I may need to look at the inbox again soon, but anyway, I just finished talking to Mom about everything. I'm going to start online schooling next week, which means I still need to go back there tomorrow. Rin. Or, hear me out, you just call in sick. Lee. I'm not one to agree with lying, but are you sure you need to go back? Izuku. Yeah. I need to clear out my locker and transfer over documents to the online program. Also, before I forget, Izuku has invited User 7 to the chat. User 7 attracts the spotlight to them. User 7 changed their name to Inko. Inko. Hello, everyone. Run, Izuku? Izuku. She wanted no more secrets. This chat is a big one. Besides, I was going to add her anyway, because I figured we needed a little bit of supervision. Mari. He's right, you know. Rin, yeah. Lee. Welcome, Miss Midoriya. Also, Lee has added users 8, 9 to the chat. User 8 coming in with a dynamic entry. Watch out, user 9 has fangs. User 8 has changed their name to Guy. User 9 has changed their name to Naruto. Guy. I assume that this is the chat, Lee? Lee. Yes, Guy Sensei. Naruto. Did anyone else get a scroll on how to do hip-hop keto? Hiccup. What in Helheim is hip-hop? Ren. Type of music? I prefer soft jazz. Mari. Okay, back on topic. Why did you add your sensei, Lee? Lee. So that Guy Sensei could come up with your workout plans. Ruby. Oh, that makes sense. Izuku. All right. Also, I need to add in time to practice making support items to the workout. Guy. All right. Don't worry, I'll WHP you all into shape. Just need to know how you want to fight. Izuku. I guess I'll start us off. I want to. As the night went on, everyone told Guy how they wanted to train. As it started to get late, everyone signed off for the night. Izuku deciding to show Red 9 his journals, while also moving all the information to the Yggdrasil journal. Once all was said and done, Izuku decided to get rid of any information in regards to weaknesses and oversight on his part that was spotted by Red. By the time he was done, once Izuku laid his head down, he was out right away. For the first time in 2 years after getting diagnosed as quirkless, Izuku slept without feeling in any pain. Once the morning came back around, Izuku woke up and started to get ready. Thankfully, Inko had talked to Guy last night on what kind of meals to make. Once they sat down, they started to talk about what their plans were. I'm going to stop by the library after school to pick some books on basic engineering. Maybe also look to find where I can find some materials to practice with, so you don't have to pay for everything. Izuku said, cleaning up his mess. All right, dear. I'm going to be home a little late. I need to restock our fridge with ingredients for our meals. I'm not going to just let you do this by yourself. Inko spoke, words said with a happiness unseen in the last 2 years. Tasks firmly decided for the day, they both left. As Izuku walked to school, he decided to try out the music player he got when he checked the chat mail. Putting on his headphones and hitting shuffle, he let the music carry him. After a few minutes, he noticed something strange. Everything around him was perfectly in time with the music. Deciding to see what was happening, he looked at the player. Once he flipped it over, he noticed the name on the back, Vandelay Tech. Using that for a starting point, he scoured through the shop before finding the listing. Vandelay Tech Hi-Fi Music Player. This music player was developed from the remnants of Project Armstrong, capable of playing music from anywhere in the multiverse. This player is perfect for getting lost in the beat, having the capability to make everything move to the user rhythm. Cool. Deciding to look into what the player was capable of after school, he put back on his headphones, kind of wishing he had a peppermint chai for some reason. Once he got to school, Izuku made sure to get the paperwork for the transfer from the front office. Sliding it into his bag, he headed to his homeroom, hoping Bakugo would be too busy having everyone bow to him. Thankfully, he didn't seem to even look his way. So deciding not to push his luck, Izuku slipped into his seat and kept his head down until the start of class. By the time Bakugo realized Izuku had sat down, class had already begun. Thankfully, it was going well, but Izuku knew it was because Katsuki was waiting for everyone to leave. Re-eyeing, and there's the bell, Izuku thought, zipping up his backpack. Izuku, a group of 3 on your right. Red informed. Thanks, now I just need to get past them. Can you record this? Izuku thought to Red. Yes, beginning recording. Where do you think you're going, Deku? Katsuki sneered. You thought you could just get away from your appointed beatdown. He said, small pops already coming from his hands. Didio, we really have to do this now, Katsuki. Izuku managed to stammer out. The hell did you just call me? Katsuki questioned, seemingly confused as to what happened. KK Katsuki, you name? You hate it when I call you Kakin, right? Izuku said, looking for a way out. Shut the hell up, nerd. I don't know when you grew a spine, but I'm going to finally get through your thick, stupid skull. Katsuki screamed. You're just a pathetic little pebble, one that I am finally going to kick to the side. Throwing himself at Izuku, and once close enough, starting to hit him. Izuku, for all his effort, couldn't keep up, the blows coming faster than he could dodge. After a few minutes, Bakugo started to slow. Coming to a stop, Bakugo looked at the damage he had caused, a smile crossing his face. See, you can't even keep up. You'll never be a hero. You barely make a good training dummy, he said, pride dripping in his voice. Izuku looks up at him, pain starting to numb. And yet you keep attacking because you think you'll be the next All Might. You're not the next All Might. You're the next Endeavor, an eternal number 2. Getting back to his feet. Bakugo's eyes widened at that, murderous hatred starting to fill them. Although it makes sense, you've always been a piece of SHD, Izuku said, the hits to his head, loosening his tongue. Just as Bakugo started to attack again, Izuku heard Red dodge to the left. Not knowing what to do, Izuku did. Bakugo's arm flew over Izuku's head. In that time, Izuku saw his opening and ran out the classroom, hoping to get somewhere safe to call Detective Tsukachi and let Red heal him. Hearing the sounds of explosions from behind him, he ran as fast as he could, listening to Red give him direction on where to go. Once he got outside onto the main street, Izuku started to take alleyways and, after a few minutes, finally starting to slow, no longer hearing the explosions. Izuku took a moment to catch his breath before saying, Red, send a recording to Detective Tsukachi and Mom. Let them know that I'm okay, and I'll be home once I'm done with my errands. Finally, catching his breath. Of course, anything else? Red replied, materializing in front of Izuku. Just need a bit of healing, but other than that, no. Said Izuku. Message sent, beginning healing. Moments later, Izuku was healed. The only evidence left were his clothes. Izuku walked out of the alley. Once getting his bearings, started to head for the library. Upon arriving, he headed inside, finding his way over to the mechanical textbooks. Looking at the options in front of him, he asked, Hey Red, what should I start researching first? I would recommend basic engineering and electrical engineering. This would allow you to start trying to build most of the blueprints I have on file. Red replied, All right then, let's get to work, Izuku said, starting to grab the necessary books. Looking over the books in his hands, he started to head to the front to check them out. As he was passing a shelf, he noticed a book on chemical composition of certain metals, thinking it would help him with finding the correct metals he needs. Reaching for the book, Red chimed in, "Watch your left." Quickly stepping out of the way, Izuku looked over and saw a girl with jet black hair tied up into a little ponytail, wearing a red top and a skirt that ended halfway between her knees and feet. "Oh, sorry about that. I was hoping to grab that book. I didn't mean to startle you," she said, giving a little bow. It's fine. Why you didn't really scare me. Just made me jump a bit," Izuku said, realizing he was making a fool of himself. Looking over at the books in Izuku's hands, the girl said, "Are you doing research?" tilting her head a bit. "Yeah, I'm about to start an engineering program soon and wanted to get a bit of a head start," said Izuku. "I'm doing the same. That's why I wanted to get the book on chemical compositions. I wanted to research stronger materials," said the raven-haired girl. "What for? Is it related to your quirk?" Izuku said, curious as to why. "Yes, it is. My parents said not to tell anyone what it can do until I get older, saying I could get into trouble for it," she said, satisfying Izuku's curiosity. "All right then. If you want it, you can take it. I should have enough here for a while that if I need it, I'll come check it out later," said Izuku. "If you're sure, I'll be done with it in a few weeks when my almanac of compositions comes in," she said, grabbing the book from the shelf. "Man, you must be really smart for your parents to get you that," Izuku said, heading to the front. "I'm not that smart. I just have better opportunities for studying than most," she said, walking beside him. "Well, I hope that I can get similar opportunities myself. That's why I'm getting these," gesturing to the books. If you can make stuff like that," she said, pointing at Red. "Oh no, he was a gift. I'm just starting out with this stuff. I don't even know where to begin," said Izuku. "Well, why not start with repairing items from a scrap or junkyard, or even making things that have a specific purpose," she said, as they approached the front desk. "That's a good idea. Thanks for that, I don't think I got your name," he said, letting her go first. "Oh, I'm Momo Yaoyorozu. Nice to meet you," she said, holding out her hand after checking out her book. "I'm Izuku Midoriya. You as well," he said, shaking her hand after setting the books down. "I hope we can meet again. I would love to know where you got him from," Yaoyorozu said. "I hope so too. It would be nice to have an actual friend I can talk to face, Izuku said. "Then I will see you around, Midoriya," Yaoyorozu said, walking out the library. As Izuku was ringing up his books, he realized, "I just talked to a girl and actually held a conversation," he thought, with a small smile on his face. "She seemed quite nice," Red said, bringing Izuku out his thoughts. "Yeah, I hope I get to talk to her again," Izuku said, putting the books into his bag and starting to head home to do research on where to find good scrap yards. One friendship ended, and a new one hopefully taking its place. Not a bad way to start a new chapter in life. Izuku toughed before slipping his headphones on, music carrying him forward. Tsukachi POV. It had been less than 24 hours since he gave the Midoriyas his number to contact him. Once he received that video, Tsukachi went straight to get that school shut down. It took nearly 2 hours for him to get all the necessary paperwork done, for it to be a legit shutdown, with a little help from a certain marsupial. As he left the precinct, he knew that he would have to wait until tomorrow to make the majority of arrests, but he can make the most important one now. Heading into the upper-class area of Mustafa, Tsukachi pulled up in front of the house for one Katsuki Bakugo. Walking up to the front door, he pulled out a folder of evidence he had managed to get his hands on. Inside was everything that went on in that school. Once everything was confirmed, he knocked on the door. After a few minutes, the door opened, revealing an older gentleman with short brown hair, wearing glasses. "Hello, sir. May I ask who you are?" the man asked, confusion starting to show on his face. "Yes, I'm Detective Tsukachi. I was hoping to come in to talk about Katsuki Bakugo," Tsukachi had said, voice firm and holding out his badge to the man. The man, now looking incredibly shocked, had stepped aside, allowing Tsukachi inside. Once inside, the man quickly went to the kitchen where presumably his wife was. Tsukachi had decided to wait in the living room for the two to join him. After a bit, both of them came into the room, and they all took their respective places. "Hello, Miss Bakugo. As I've told your husband, I'm here to talk about you, son Katsuki." Tsukachi spoke, readying his folder. The woman, who, if he had to guess, stood around 5'6" to 5'8", with ash blonde hair asked, "What did my son do to warrant a visit from the police?" Voice clearly upset. "I'm here because I had received a message from certain individuals that had brought to my attention that your son had broken numerous laws regarding quirk use." Tsukachi spoke, clearly upset at the situation. "My son may be a bit of a hothead, but he knows better than to use his quirk in public." The lady said, "Hold on, Mitsuki. Let's let him explain before you yell at him. It might just be a misunderstanding." The man said, "Try to cool the situation down before it blows up." "No, Masaru, I'm not just going to let him badmouth my kid for being a hothead who knows better than to use his quirk to blow something up," Mitsuki said, getting louder as she went on. Once they were done, they turned back, one full of rage, the other nervous that he may have to stop his wife from getting into more trouble. "Show us the proof, then. Show us what crime my son is supposedly doing to call for this," Mitsuki said, rage tempering off, but ready to go at any moment. Tsukachi pulled out the folder and laid it out on the table between them. Masaru reached over and picked it up. Both of them looked through the folder. The longer they looked, the more the look of horror etched itself upon their face. After 15 minutes of reading it all, there was a brief moment before Katsuki Bakugo, "Get down here right now," Mitsuki screamed, loud enough to rival present mic. The sound of a door slamming open and footsteps coming downstairs. "What do you want, hag?" Tsukachi turns to see Katsuki standing there with a scowl on his face, most likely from Izuku, getting away, he thinks. "Get over here and sit down. I want a word with you," Mitsuki says, anger clearly heard coming through. Katsuki raises an eyebrow to that, but still does so. The moment he sits down, he says, "Who the F is T-? Shut up. I'm going to ask you something, and if you lie, I'm going to ground you until the day you die," Mitsuki said, cutting him off. Katsuki looked at his mother in shock, wondering what was about to be asked. "Did you ever use your quirk on anybody?" Mitsuki asked, voice sounding like a fuse to a cannon. "What the hell are you talking about?" Katsuki asked, not really understanding. "Did you use your quirk on anyone?" Her voice getting louder with every passing second. Tsukachi looked at Katsuki, seeing the gears turn in his head, trying to get out of this without getting in trouble. "Before you answer, you should know. My quirk lets me know if you're telling the truth or not, even if you're telling half-truths," he said, cutting him off before he could get a word out. For the first time coming down here, Katsuki looks visibly shaken to his core, because he knows he can't say anything. Finally, after a few moments, Katsuki managed to get out, "Who the hell are you?" seemingly trying to get back some semblance of confidence. "Detective Tsukachi, I was working with Mustafa Police Department on another case when this dropped into my lap," he said, keeping a level head. "What does it matter if I did or not? I was just showing them their place," Katsuki managed to finally say. Mitsuki looked horrified by what her son just said. "Even Izuku?" she asked, hoping he wouldn't attack someone that close to their family. "What the hell does it matter what I did to Deku?" Not seeming to realize what his slip-up, Masaru, for the first time since this started, "What did you just call him?" His voice gaining an edge never before heard by Katsuki. "What does it matter? He's worthless. He doesn't have a quirk. He believes he could be a hero, thinking himself better than me," Katsuki responded, as if stating a fact. With shadows over his Masaru got up out of his seat. "Pardon me for a second, detective. I need to get some fresh air," he said, pulling a pack of cigarettes out before walking outside to the backyard. Mitsuki saw the cigarettes and looked shocked. She knew Masaru gave up smoking around the time Izuku and Katsuki was born. The last time he had one was just before Hisashi left for that job in America. For him to go back to it, she knew she messed up when raising Katsuki the way she did. Detective Tsukachi looked on as Masaru walked out, before turning to Katsuki. "The reason I'm here is because I've collected enough evidence to put you into a juvenile correction facility until you're a legal adult. And on the off chance you don't know, that would put a black mark on your record, barring you from being a hero," Tsukachi said, letting his words fill the air. "I don't think you should, after all you showed us," Mitsuki said. "I know I'm not the best kind of mother for letting this happen, especially to my godson, if I'm even allowed to call him that anymore." She thought, "That's not fair. I'm supposed to be the next number one. Everyone at school says that," said Katsuki. "It's not fair for Iz. midoriya to be your victim. I want to arrest you and throw away the key. But I can't. Sakachi said, hands shaking in rage. Because you never got reprimanded for your actions, you have a clean record. But that doesn't mean you get away scot-free. He said, before placing a cuff onto Katsuki. What the hell are you doing? Katsuki says, trying to detonate his hands. For nothing to happen. What the hell? He wondered what was happening. That is a suppression cuff. We use them for criminals on probation. It limits the use of your quirk to certain areas and times. You're going to wear this until you get into middle school, said Sakachi. Also because of how much you attacked him, you will also have a restraining order against you from the midoriyas until high school, wherever you may go to. He said before collecting the evidence and turning away from the exploding boy. You deserve to be in juvie. The only reason you're not is because you got lucky so far. Not anymore if you still want. To be a hero, you better change before it's too late. He said before bowing to Mitsuki and walking out of the house. Taking a deep breath once he got into his vehicle, he pulled out his phone and let the midoriyas know what was going on. Now for the rest of them. He thought before setting his phone aside and driving off, leaving the Bakugos to deal with the fallout of this visit. Izuku POV. After waking up, Izuku started to get ready before remembering that his mom pulled him from the school for the rest of the week. Deciding to not waste the day away, he might as well get something done today. Getting out of bed, Izuku started to look on the chat shop for a laptop for school, hoping to find something that would work. After searching for a bit, he managed to find one. After paying for it and booting it up, he noticed it was connected to the chat app. Looking at the specs on it, he noticed it's better than most computers produced by iIsland. It did have programs installed on it, but he'll look at those later. For right now, he's looking up the stuff Guy Sensei told him, a place to run 3 kilometers, somewhere with plenty of scrap materials along his route. Guy Sensei also mentioned finding somewhere to work on strength training. As he was looking, he realized that it was going to be summer soon. Deciding to look somewhere he could cool off during the hot days, he noticed there was a beach roughly about 3 kilometers away from his house. Deciding to get a head start on his workout plan, he grabbed some things and started to head that way, if only to get the route mapped out. Heading through the city, Izuku was glad he remembered to grab the music player. As long as he followed the rhythm, he managed to get there with little to no issue. Along the way, he noticed that there was construction along the route. Yaoyorozu Construction Company must have started working on this recently. As he walked past, he accidentally bumped into someone. Ow, sorry about that. I wasn't paying attention, Izuku said, holding out his hand to help them up. It's fine, I should hot you, they said, jumping up. Izuku jumped back, looked at them, and realized it was the girl with the blush marks. Her hands seemed to have something on them, but he really couldn't tell. Oh, it's you? Sorry, I didn't realize. Are you doing okay? Izuku asks, shocked he ran into a person he protected from Katsuki. I'm fine, what about you? Last time I saw you, you were laying on the ground after getting hit by that blonde-haired JRK, she said, slight accent in her voice. When I came back with my parents, you were gone. My parents and I were worried someone came by and took you. Sorry to make you worry, but I'm okay. I just had to get my head on straight from a world-shattering revelation, Izuku said, while bowing to her. Glad to hear, Deku, she said with a smile on her face. Deku? Where did you hear that? He asked, nervously waiting for her response. I heard that JRK call you that. Is that not your name? She asked, tilting her head. And no, it was the nickname that Katsuki used to call me. It means worthless or a useless wooden doll, said Izuku, head hanging low. What? My mom told me it meant you can do it, she said, starting to get upset that she was being mean. Like Dikairu? He asked, realizing her accent made Deku sound like that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you useless, she said, looking down. It's fine, you didn't know. It's nice to meet you. My name's Izuku midoriya, holding out his hand. Shaking his hand, hi, my name is Ochako Yaoyorozu. When they stopped shaking hands, Yaoyorozu reached down to pick up the bag she dropped. Sorry, but I have to go deliver this to my dad. Hope to see you later, midoriya, she said, running off the construction site, leaving Izuku there. Well, I'm glad she was okay, and considering I'm going to take this route if the beach works out, I'll see her again later. Izuku thought to himself. Continuing to walk, after 30 minutes, he managed to finally get there. What was waiting for him was not what he expected. The entire thing was covered in trash. Deciding to not make the journey just a waste of time, the only exception being talking with Yaoyorozu, he walked down the steps. Looking around, he noticed that it wasn't really rotting trash and more broken appliances. Well, at the least I can use this for part and materials, and maybe I can use this as strength training to start out with. Then I could maybe take some of this stuff to a recycling center to get some MO. Ha ha! Look at all this fine material. The girl who shouted from the steps, who knocked him of his thoughts. The girl had bright pink hair with yellow eyes, wearing a weird set of goggles and a backpack slung over her shoulder. Oh, this will help me finish up my babies. Babies? Izuku yelped out, drawing her attention to him. Oh, are you interested? She said, walking up to him, removing her backpack. He started to back up as she approached, but before he could get too far, she pulled him into a handshake. Nice to meet you. Name's May Hatsum, future owner and CEO of Hatsum Industry Creations still pending. She said, a huge smile crossing her face. Izuku, midoriya. What did you mean by babies? He asked, face gaining a slight blush to it. May spoke these, before pulling out another pair of her goggles and a small device with a hook and rope. Looking at them, realized the use of the one with the rope. Did you make a grappling hook? Yes, I'm glad to see my genius is recognized, she said, a smile still upon her face. With this, scaling buildings will never be easier. Aiming it at a bit of trash before firing. The hook flew through the air before attaching itself to a washing machine. Upon trying to reel it back, the rope attached to the hook broke before the machine moved an inch. The rope, however, was on a direct course back to both of them. Already moving, Izuku pushed her out of the way before getting whipped in the back by it. Thankfully, not breaking any skin, but still causing a mark to be left on him. Ow, he said before putting his hand to try and stop the pain. Are you okay? He finally managed to ask. Yeah, sorry about that. I tested it yesterday, and it worked, but I guess the rope finally broke. Hatsum said before turning back to him. Are you going to be okay? That rope was coming back with some force. She asked. Yeah, just give him a sec, Red, do you mind? Not at all, Izuku, before Red flew out, starting to heal him. Once he was done, Red took a look at the grappling hook before scanning it. Analysis of the device is done. The rope didn't have the tensile strength to pull the machine before snapping. Should it have held, the motor itself would have burned out, he said before getting snatched out of the air by Hatsum. This baby is incredible, able to heal and provide back real-time analysis. You have to tell me how you made it, Hatsum said before running to Izuku. It was a gift from someone in my group chat. Not really lying, but not the full truth, Izuku answered before asking. Do you mind helping me with learning to make some gear? You clearly have a better understanding of support tech than me. Why ask me when you have someone who can already make that? She asked, pointing at Red. Because the person who gave me Red didn't really leave a way to contact them. Besides, I want to build support gear for when I become a hero, said Izuku. Hatsum thought about it for a bit before answering, all right, but I get to try and study him. When we meet up, we can meet up here. I heard you mumble about coming back here to work out, Hatsum said, gathering her things and a couple of parts from some nearby machines. Here, hand me your phone, she said, holding out her hand. What makes you think I have a phone? Izuku asked, already handing his over. Doesn't everyone? My parents gave me one when I kept getting into junkyards for parts, Hatsum said, typing her number in. Izuku looked at her, and in the short time he had gotten to know her, he could understand why her parents thought it was good for her to have one. Okay, that's fair, he said, before having to catch his phone that had been thrown back to him. All right, I got all the parts one needed. See you, Greenie, Hatsum shouted, already heading for the steps. Wait. Never mind. See ya, Hatsum, Izuku said, noticing a decent pair of rollerblades, deciding to take them with him, figuring he could make something out of them. Over the next few days leading up to Monday, Izuku started working on fixing up the skates he got from Takoba Beach. Over those days, he kept getting notifications from the app. The app seemed to want everyone to grow and get stronger, and to do so, gave them all quests to do. The endless walk, to be completed as a group. Walk 10,000 kilometers. The reward seemed decent enough to do. even if he didn't know what flossing was. Everyone also seemed to get mostly books on things that seemed to match what was needed to learn, like medicinal herbs and uses, as well as a first aid kit and guide to go with it. There were things given to specific people like Run getting a book on Arsène Lupin, as well as a deck of tarot cards and a guide on how to read them. Hiccup seemed to get books on runes and what they mean along with forging techniques, but those are slow going for now. Lee got a scroll on a fighting style that focuses on kicks, as well as a scroll on meditation and fighting mental constructs for when he couldn't spar with someone. Strangely, everyone was given a mask that, for some reason, had tentacles where the mouth should be along with freckles on its cheeks. It also came with a warning about mindless husks that made everyone agree not to wear it unless they had no choice. For Izuku, he got a couple of blueprints for different items. According to Red, they are highly advanced bits of tech that even he doesn't fully understand how they work. Which leads us to what Izuku is working on now, getting frustrated at how intricate some of the pieces are, which was slowly wearing him down. Izuku POV. Alright, that's enough for the day, setting the pieces aside, not wanting to get so upset as to throw them across the room. Looking at the time, Izuku realizes it's almost time to log on for his assignments. I really need to get better tools if I'm going to try and make the air gear, but most of those pieces are too small for me to make and too niche for me to buy. Maybe I could talk to Hatsum about helping Y-Dash. What are you trying to build? Voice said, knocking him out of his thoughts. Looking up at his screen, he saw someone else who logged on early. A girl with blonde hair, wearing red glasses. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I hadn't muted myself, Izuku said, bowing his head a little bit. Oh, no, it's fine. I just logged on when you muttered something about being too niche and small to build, so I was wondering what you were trying to make. She said, curiosity gleaming in her eyes. Deciding that it couldn't hurt to get another set of eyes, he held up a copy of the blueprints to the camera on his laptop. After a bit, he put it back down. I'm trying to build a set of what are essentially air-powered rocket skates, he stated, but the problem lies in the fact that I don't have the tools needed to make this, and I'm getting nowhere with it. That's a high bar for what sounds like your first project. Where did you manage to get the idea from anyway? She replied, I just happened to stumble across them online, but I couldn't find a source, so I'm stuck without a reference point to start with, Izuku said, rubbing his head. If you want, I can help you if you want. I pretty much figured out how to make small parts and pieces, she had offered. Thank you for the offer, but I can't really accept it. I want to figure it out. Besides, I don't want to exploit your hospitality, Izuku said, trying to reject the offer kindly. All right, but if you need a bit of help, shoot me an email, okay, she said while sending him her email. Just as he was about to respond, the rest of the class joined the call, including the teacher. Orged, hello everyone. My name is Tadashi Yamada, and I specialize in robotics and programming, with a minor in medical science here at I-Island. He spoke, voice welcoming and warm, a vast difference from his old teacher. Now I know most of you are people who have been here for a while, but we do have a few people who are new, so I'm going to explain some things to them. Tadashi said, first thing, we're here to make things to help people. We don't make weapons or things to hurt others. There's plenty of those out there, and they don't need you guys helping them. Second, you guys can come to us for help with your project. There are plenty of people here who are more than willing to help the next generation. Third and final thing, any attempt to take credit for work you didn't do will result in a write-up, and you'll be put on restricted access to resources. So a bit of advice is to record your work. Other than that, you guys are free to do what you want. We will meet up every other day to see how you guys are progressing with your projects. Speaking of projects, I have an assignment and an opportunity. I want you guys to come up with a device of your own and a rough mock-up. You have until the end of the month to finish, bonus points if it works, and I know some of you guys don't all have access to the same tools as some others, so we're limiting you guys to only certain tools. This is to test you guys on creativity and resourcefulness. And to the one who manages to get first place, you guys will have a round trip to I-Island. He said, finalizing the challenge. Most everyone in the call got excited about the prize. The chance to go to the man-made island, full of the best. Even Izuku was excited because he knew that one David Shield lived there and he wanted his autograph. And for those already on I-Island, Tadashi continued, you will instead get the use of one level 5 lab for the rest of the summer break. And with that said, everyone else joined in on the excitement. Now before I let you guys go and work, I have one last thing to say if something doesn't work out, or if you guys can't seem to figure out the answer. Here's a bit of advice. Look for a new angle. There's more than one way to solve a problem. Any questions? He said, finishing up his speech. Everyone shook their heads in response, already running through what they could make to win. All right then, I'll see you guys in 2 days, and if you have questions or need help, we will have the call open for the rest of the time. Tadashi said, heading to his workbench. Izuku looked back over at the skates lying on his bed and took a deep sigh. Not wasting any more time, he got back to work on it. If only he could find the origin of those blueprints. They seemed like they operated on magic. Guess it's time to do some research. Maybe I could ask Hatsum for help. She managed to make a working grappling hook, even if it broke. Deciding to contact her, he looked at his phone and saw the notification for his email. Right, she sent me her email. Maybe I should ask her. I mean, she did offer, right? He thought for a moment before opening the link. Sporting her email handle melissa.s@iacademy. I hope she won't be too upset about me bothering her. He muttered to himself while typing a small email regarding help with the skates along with the blueprints for them, so she could see them better than with him holding them to the camera. After a bit, he sent it and went back to work. The response was almost immediate, requesting him to join a video call. He immediately joined, and when she came up, "Hey, I didn't think you would contact me that quickly," Melissa said, moving the camera over to keep working on her project. "Yes, sorry, I was wondering if you could help me. I really can't seem to understand how it works, and the numbers make no sense. If you could even point me the right way, I would appreciate it," Izuku said, doing a slight bow. "It's fine. And are you sure you wanted to send me the plans? I mean, I know you said that you stumbled across them, but they are really well put together. I mean, I could just take them for myself," Melissa said, with teasing in her voice. "I'm sure. Besides, it would be wrong of me to not try and get this tech out there. Besides, I was working on this for me to get around the city. But I'm probably not going to be able to use them while training." He responded back. "You're training for what?" she said, curiosity peeking through. "I'm going to be a hero, and I need support gear for when I'm in the field. That's why I'm hoping to get these up and running. Hopefully help me keep up with those who have low-level speed quirks," he said, Googling flying machines. "That would help, especially someone like me. I'm always running late. That's why I'm making this," she said, showing what looks to be a pogo stick. "Why a pogo stick? I mean, you could just use a bike, right?" he said, tilting his head to the side. "Yeah, I could, but with a bike I could catch a flat tire, a chain break, or even run into someone if I don't notice them. With this I can just jump over everything, while the only maintenance is just replacing the spring. Plus it would be more fun," she said, a smile beaming on her face. "Yeah, I guess you're right. That does sound fun. Plus, if I can get these skates to work, I could possibly run up the side of the building with them. Along with, if they break, they would still be a good pair of running shoes," he said, motivated to get them to work. "Well, you should get to work on finding that formula. I just realized I never got your name." "Name's Melissa Shield," she said, smiling at the camera. "S. Shield, like David Shield, man who made All Might's suits and revolutionized hero suit materials, and to this day still improving upon it," Izuku said, fanboyness coming through. "Yep, he's my dad. I got some big shoes to fill, and I'm going to give it my best," Melissa said, confidence beaming with each word spoken. "So what's your name?" "Izuku Midoriya. I live in Mustafa, Japan," he said, doubt creeping in, thinking he couldn't compete with her genius. "You speak English surprisingly well for someone from Japan," she said, working on her pogo. "Yeah, well," he said, turning his camera a bit, showing off his collection. "I couldn't be an All Might fan without listening to his interviews when America in English." "Are you sure that's not a museum exhibit?" she responded, eyes widened at all the merchandise. "It's not that much," he said, rubbing the back of his head, shaking her head. "So what got you into wanting to make support gear if you want to be a hero?" she had asked. "I want to save people with a smile on my face, and to prove I can do it without a quirk," he said, with determination in his voice. "You don't have a quirk, and you're still trying to be a hero?" she had asked. "Yeah. Do you hate that I don't have a quirk?" he asked, nervously waiting for her response. "I don't hate you for not having a quirk. If I hated you for that reason, I would also have to hate myself," she responded. "Wait, that means dash. I'm also quirkless, man. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit jealous of you, Midoriya," she said, hanging her head a bit. When I got told I wouldn't have a quirk, I was heartbroken that I could be like my uncle. But my dad said that even though we're not heroes, we are the ones who protect them. I had all but completely given up on it, and here you are having the same dream I did, same problem I have, and yet here you're trying anyway. She said, voice getting heavy with emotion. A few moments of silence stretched between them before, so why don't you? Izuku asked. What? Why not try and be a hero like me? One that doesn't have a quirk and uses support tech, he asked. It's too late, isn't it? I mean, I put all this effort into being a support technician. I can't just throw that away. She had answered. You don't have to. You can be like Power Loader. He's a hero, along with being the support course teacher at UA, along with making his own exosuit and gadgets. Izuku said. So, I could be a hero and a support technician? She had asked, voice having a weight to it unlike before. I know you can. You're smarter than me. And you got your dad, whom I remind you is David Shield. If anyone could be a hero, it's you. He told her, voice now filled with pride and determination, like if a dragon was speaking to her. Not wanting to cry in front of this boy, who unbeknownst to him caused her dream of being like her uncle to reignite, she stepped off to the side of the camera for a bit before returning. Thank you, midoriya. I think I needed to hear that. I'm going to get off before my dad gets back. I don't want him making a railgun just to shoot at you for making me cry. But I'll give what you said some thought. See you in classes, she said before logging off. Izuku had leaned back in his chair thinking about what he said. She would make an amazing hero, and she could change the world if given the chance. He thought before sitting upright, getting back to doing research. The closest thing I've found is Joukowsky theorem, but even that isn't solving all my problems, he thought before, walking to the kitchen to get a drink. I guess I should be happy. I'm not getting hit with a railgun. Getting hit with a car's worth of metal shot from an electromagnetic gun would not be fun, he said absent-mindedly, before it hit him. Running back to his room, he immediately began to draw up new plans based off the blueprints he had, and the idea that Melissa had inadvertently given him. Electromagnetic ion field. It would allow me to float a few inches off the ground, then I can use the air to push myself forward. No contact with the ground means the only thing slowing me down would be air resistance. He said, getting back to work on his skates. This is going to be some extreme gear. Yeah, extreme air gear skates is a good name. I knew she was smart. She helped even without meaning to. He said, a smile plastered on his face, almost matching the one adorning his walls. Melissa POV. After wiping her eyes, she tried to get back to work, but she just couldn't get what midoriya had said out of her mind. I mean, it's too late, right? Besides, it's not like I have a chance. I'm content being a technician, but I would be lying, she thought before slumping back in her chair. She couldn't help but think about the idea of her being a hero. And technician, she even looked up what midoriya had said, and sure enough, he was telling the truth. If I knew he would take up this much of my mind, I probably still would have talked to him. She thought before heading to the dining room. I mean, he was kind, respectful, and didn't just use me to get what he needed or to get him in with Dad. Why couldn't he be like that? Then I could just ignore what he said and continue living the way I have. But nope, he had to make the dream that burnout start right back up. She thought, trying to wrap her head around this. The moment she sat down at the table, she put her head on the table and let out an exhausted sigh, and it wasn't even 3 p.m. yet. Thankfully, a voice brought her out of it. Stayed up till late working on your project again? A male voice rang out. She looked at the man. Standing just over 6 foot FT was her dad, wearing an old red hoodie he refused to part with. No, just trying to wrap my head around something someone new in my tech program said to me a little while ago. She said, raising her head off the table. Do I need to correct someone? I've been wanting to try out something I came up with from Warhammer. He said, voice laced with parental protection. No, he didn't say anything bad, just said something that got me thinking. She said, trying to calm the warhead that is her dad pissed off. So what did he say then? Voice losing the edge it once had. We were talking about why we wanted to learn how to make support gear, and he had mentioned he was trying to be a hero using the stuff he made. She said, not really knowing how to tell her dad. Okay, but it sounds like you're leaving something out about him. So what is it? He had asked. He's just like me. He's quirkless and is trying to be a hero still despite that. Then he asked why I couldn't be a hero, and I told him I didn't want to throw away all the hard work I did with you to become a technician, just to become a hero. Then he told me about a hero working at UA that was both a hero and a technician. Then he said I could be a hero, that I was smart enough to do it, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. She said, resting her head on her hands. After sitting there for a moment, "So, what do you want to do then, kiddo?" He said, voice laced with understanding. "I don't know, I thought I already gave up on that dream, but now, I don't know," she said, looking melancholy. "Well, if you want my opinion, I think you should." He said, "What? Be a hero and technician? I don't know this boy, but he seems to know you pretty well enough. You are smart enough, and you definitely have the drive to do so. So why don't you?" He had asked, "But didn't you want me to be like you and stay here on Island, continuing your work?" She asked, confusion written across her face. "Honey, I wanted you to be safe, but above that, I wanted you to be happy. And if that means helping you be a hero, then I'll help you be a hero. Besides, I now Toshi would love to help you. But the choice is yours at the end of the day. Just know I will support you no matter what choice you make," he said, rubbing her head. She looked at him, smiled, and said, "Thanks, Dad," before giving him a hug. "I'm going to get back to work on my pogo. Thanks for the help," she said before letting go to head back to her workbench. "Maybe I can thank midoriya. I won't give up Athos' dream again. And I'll see you when you get here. Something tells me you just made a break those same as me," she thought before getting back to work, with a photo of her and her dad, with her uncle Toshinori Yagi, all of them giving a big smile, worth of the symbol of peace. It took Izuku so many hours of research to get them working. However, he did get to hang out with Yaoyorozu at the library for a bit while getting reference materials. After 5 days of working on the extreme air gear, EAGs, with numerous trials and errors to get them working and several small fires, he finally got them afloat, albeit slightly, before shutting them off. Izuku was excited. He finally got them to work, and now he wanted to test them and see where they could be improved. But in order to do that, he needed somewhere with open space and spare parts in case something broke. So with that, he decided to head back to Takoba Beach. On the way there, he went past the construction yard. As he was walking past, he noticed Uraraka talking to what seemed to be her parents, dropping off what seemed to be their lunch. Not wanting to get in their way, he kept on walking, hoping to talk to her and her folks later about helping out around the site to start building up some muscle. Upon arriving at the beach, he walked through the almost literally mountains of trash and scrap. He managed to find a spot with a clear view of the sea and wide enough to test the skates. Deciding it would be good enough for a test run, he started to get everything set up, hoping to finally get the chance to run at the same speed as All Might. As he was about to put on the EAGs, he stopped for a moment and realized I was about to do something incredibly stupid. He thought to himself, shaking his head as he started to take the back off. "Is everything all right, Izuku?" Red said to him, coming out. "Yeah, I just realized I almost strapped experimental gear to my feet and just take off without any sort of way to stop myself," he responded, putting back on his regular shoes. "There has to be something here we can use as a stand-in," he said, starting to look through the piles of scrap. After a few minutes of scrounging, he managed to find an old, beaten-up mannequin. After a few minutes putting it back together, he started to drag it back to the area where he had set up everything. After getting back, he started to strap the EAGs onto it. Once he was done, he tightened all the joints on the mannequin once he got it standing upright. "Izuku, it may be a good idea to strap it down to a heavy object so it doesn't fly around and possibly into you," Red said, already looking for some chain around them. "Yeah, good idea," Izuku responded, looking for something to strap it to. After a while, he managed to find a fridge close enough. He started to try to bring it back with him. After 30 minutes of pushing it, he finally managed to get it back, but he was exhausted. "Hey, Red, send a message to Guy Sensei. I need to get stronger if I'm going to keep having to drag more things here for testing," he said, sitting for a bit to catch his breath. "Message sent. Also, we have someone approaching," Red said, putting Izuku on high alert. Turning to where Red said they were coming from, he saw a familiar head of pink hair. "Handsome. Hey, Greenie, what's up?" "Oh, what's this, some kind of boots or something?" she said, running over and looking at the EAGs. "Yeah, they meant to help me with running at high speeds. I was just about to test them," he said, walking over to the setup and double-checking the chains Red had found. Well, what are you waiting for, Greenie? Fire them up, she said, a smile beaming on her face. Just give me a minute. I need to double-check and make sure they won't fly off. I won't be able to make another pair in time for the contest, he said, finalizing his mental checklist. She looked at him in confusion. Contest? What contest? The program I'm a part of is having a contest as motivation for getting us to build support gear. And the winner gets to go to Island for a week, and I want to go because I may never get the chance again, he said, heading back over to the safe zone. May looked at him with such excitement. Why am I not in this program? Imagine what I could build in a week on Island. The sky's the limit, she said, imagining all the things she could build. Yeah, well, now you know why I can't lose these. It would take too much time to remake them and test them. So I only have one shot at this, he said, setting up his laptop and getting Red to start recording this. I wish I had known about this program earlier so I could have gotten the chance. I would have blown everyone out of the water with my babies, she said, upset she couldn't join this late. I never did get to ask, but why you call your gear babies? He had asked, almost finished setting up. They're my babies. I put my BLD, sweat, and tears into making them. They're important to me. Besides, that's what my parents call them, she said, rummaging through a pile of scrap nearby. Really? Yep. I always hear them say, look at this baby. Come on, baby, work. This baby's got so many features, so that's what I thought everyone called them, she said, pulling out a washing machine motor. I guess that makes sense, but you might want to be careful about that in the future. They may take it the wrong way, he said, finalizing everything. All right, time to fire them up. Red, start recording, he said, looking at Red. Recording started. Hello, this is Izuku Midoriya, and this is the first official test of my Extreme Air Gear, or EAGs. We will be starting on 5% move and working our way up. The one recording is Red, and off to the side is my friend Hatsum, who just showed up looking for materials, he said, turning back to the dummy. In 3, 2, 1, go. One said, pushed a button on his laptop and turned them on. The EAGs barely moved a centimeter before shutting off. Wow, I'm so impressed, Hatsum said off to the side, a slight teasing in her voice. Looking at her in annoyance. Well, I did start them off low for safety, but I think we could go to 50%, he said, turning back and adjusting the output. All right, here we go, 3, 2, 1, and once again pushing the button, only this time the dummy started to float, barely pulling against the chains. About to call a success, but before he could hit the cutoff, the dummy joints loosened a bit and brought the boots together, and once connected, caused the dummy to shoot off like a rocket. The chains strained under the weight, now pulling against them, until finally they gave in and broke, causing the dummy to be launched into the air, ripping away from the weight that once held it down. Seeing the dummy get launched, Izuku slammed the emergency stop, cutting the power to the boots, causing the dummy to fall right where Hatsum was looking for parts. Hatsum move. By the time the thought had even entered his mind, he was already in motion to get her out of the way. Once reaching her, he tackled her out of the way moments before the dummy crashed into the pile of scrap. Looking at the dummy, he could see that all of its limbs were bending the wrong way. Looking back at Hatsum, seeing her groaning, and started to sit up. Sorry about that. Guess 50% was too much. You good? He said, getting to his feet. Yeah, I just didn't think I would be getting tackled today, so I wasn't expecting it, she said, as Izuku held out his hand to help her back up. Looking up, she could see a small vapor trail. Man, that got some height, about, 20 meters or so, she said, looking back at him. Maybe, but what I want to know is what caused it to happen, he said, walking over to the wreckage. Looking at the EAGs, he could see certain components had melted and others had fused together. Face turning pale. I guess I should be happy I wasn't wearing them, otherwise I would most likely be in a lot of pain, he said, throwing some water on the boots, hearing them sizzle. Once cooled off, he took them off the dummy and started to look them over. Most of everything's melted. I'm going to have to rebuild them either way. Well, I guess back to the drawing board. Red, do you have any idea what was happening? He asked, looking at him. Red flew to the boots and started to scan them. It seems that the magnetic fields had distorted into a cone shape, causing the negatively charged ions to start flowing downwards, causing the air to heat up so fast it caused it to ignite, and with all the air being pumped into it, it became self-sustaining. He said, looking back at Izuku, and That was only 50. Imagine what could have happened at 100. Looking back at the charred mess. Well, at least we know it works. Now we just need to fix them. Hopefully there is another pair of skates somewhere around. Looking back at Hatsum, who was standing next to him. Are you sure you're good? He said, with a worried tone in his question. Yeah, just a bit sore. I'm more upset that the part one was grabbing is now broken, she said, fishing out what looks to be an old regulator, now twisted and mangled. Sorry, I should have been more careful. I guess I won't be able to go to Island after all. I doubt I'll be able to find everything I need again. It's looking for screws in an entire assembly line, everywhere, but not the ones I need. He said, upset, but still looking for the pieces in the hope of getting them fixed in time. I'll help. Besides, might find another one lying around. She said, already looking around at other trash piles. Are you sure? Might take a while. Yeah, besides, consider it. Thanks for getting me out of the way. All right then. What are you looking for so I can keep an eye out for it? He said, go in a different pile. After searching for hours, they managed to find everything they needed for both of their projects. Thanks for the help, Hatsum. Hopefully, I can rebuild it in time. But it should be much faster this time around. He said, packing everything into his bag, and a duffel he managed to find that was still in decent shape. Just call me May Greenie. I think you more than earned it for all of this. She says, gesturing to the pile of parts. Besides, it makes it quicker when talking to me. All right, then you can call me Izuku then. He said, putting the last thing away. Just as he was walking away, May grabbed his arm and started leading him. Hats, May, where are you taking me? Over here I saw something no support tech should ever be without, she said, leading him to a pile a good distance away. Upon reaching the pile, she let him go, then walked over and pulled out what she had seen. Is that a 3D printer? Yep, no good workshop is complete without one for prototyping, she said, walking back over to hand it to him. How did you see this? We must have been 10 meters away from it. And it was buried, he had asked. My quirk lets me see up to 5 kilometers away. To me, it was like I was standing right next to it, she said, a smile beaming on her face. Really? It must help when looking at things up close. You wouldn't need a microscope to do minuscule circuits. Does it just give you the ability to look at long distances, or can you also see other wavelengths like UV light, which will let you have night vision? If not, then it would be great for a just. Izuku, you are muttering again, Red said, knocking him out of it. Realizing he did go on one of his muttering sprees. Sorry about that. I like quirks and how they can be used, and I know it's creepy. Greenie, why would I be upset about you being passionate about something like that? I'm just impressed at how long. You can go without breathing, she said with a slight chuckle. Besides, you heard me going on and on about my babies today. Why shouldn't you get the chance? I was always told that it was creepy and that I should just keep my mouth shut permanently, as no one would care about what I have to say, he said, picking at the metal tracks of the printer. Well, they're jealous that you're smarter than they are, so don't listen to them. Besides, that's the kind of stuff we need to make babies for the people who come to us. Now come on, I'll help you set it up. Help me carry dummy, she said, already grabbing the twisted legs of the mannequin that had almost crushed her. Why do you want to grab it? He said, walking over to her. Because this way no one will mess with him, and we have a stand-in for our gear, already trying to drag him. Hold up then, let's just take him apart, then we can put him back together when we get there. So where are we taking him? He had asked, already taking the limbs off. To your place. You found him first. You got to keep him. Besides, I need to help you set up that printer first and show you where to get the good stuff for it, she said, helping with the removal. Well, I do have the space, and I could use him to test costume designs, he muttered to himself. All right, but I'm going to need to find a better way of moving him around, without people thinking I'm moving a dead body, he said, removing the last limb and handing it to May. Just use the duffel bag you found, or make him walk here himself, she said, securing the limbs to her bag. Maybe, but I wouldn't even know where to start with that. For now, let's just use the duffel, he said, picking up the torso. All right, lead the way, Greenie, she said, ushering them onwards. As they walked past the construction, they heard a loud bang and the sounds of someone yelling in frustration. Deciding to take a quick look, they could see the person yelling was the person Izuku had seen earlier talking to Yaoyorozu. Wanting to see the problem, they both walked over to him. Are you all right, sir? Izuku had asked, walking up to the man, Having a closer look at him, Izuku could see that the man stood about 6 foot tall, with ashen blonde hair so dark it bordered on brunette, with a body built from years of construction. The man turned to them and saw them standing there. After calming down a little bit, "Sorry about that, kids. Didn't think anyone was around, but yeah, everything's alright, just frustrated because this stupid thing keeps breaking down on us. Other than that, we're fine, and you kids shouldn't be bothered. Besides, it's dangerous around here. You guys should get going," he said, turning back to the machine. By the time he turned around fully, Mei was already tearing into it, and before he could stop her, the machine roared back to life. "There you go. Just a couple faulty connections and loose wires. Should be good to go," she said, already putting her tools away. "Wait, how did you do that? We have been knocking our heads against each other for the past few weeks. We threw everything we could at this," he said, looking at the repairs that Mei did. "It's easy. The power systems in that model always corrode over time, due to being outside all the time, so you just need to take a wire brush to it to clean them up. It's not difficult," she said, slinging her bag back on. "Come on, Greenie, let's keep going," grabbing Izuku's hand and dragging him away with her. "Wait a second. Who are you two?" "Sorry, we are busy getting him set up, and after he's helping me make babies," she said, not a care in the world about what she just said, leaving the man in shock, and by the time he cleared his head, they were already 2 blocks down the street. "Mei, you need to clarify what you mean, or else people are going to take it the wrong way," Izuku said, finally getting his feet back underneath him. She looked back at him in confusion. "What do you mean?" A blush crossed his face before. "Just ask your parents what it means," he said, trying to cool his face down. After 15 minutes, they finally got back to his house. "I'm home," he called out, receiving silence in return. "Mom must still be out." "All right, this way," he said, leading Mei to his room. Once they walked into his room, Mei tossed the limbs on his bed and grabbed the 3D printer from his hands and set it on his desk and started working on it to get it running. During that time, Izuku starting working on fixing his EAGs. During that time, he got a video chat invite from Melissa. Without realizing who else was in the room, he pressed accept. Waiting for it to connect, he finally remembered Mei was still setting up the printer. Once connected, "Hey midoriya, how'd the test go?" Melissa said from where she was working at her workbench. "It went fine, just had an unexpected meltdown," he replied, seeing Mei not paying attention, too engrossed in her work to notice. "Did the test go that bad?" she had asked, looking over at him. "No, I mean a literal meltdown," he said, holding up his melted EAGs. "What the hell happened? I thought it was a simple lift test, not a till failure one. I'll have Red show you the test footage, but for now I need to remake them and maybe add some vents and better heat sinks," he said, setting his computer back down on his bed. "Why aren't you working at your desk?" she had asked while watching the footage, taking notes on what can be improved. "Mei is working on setting up a printer we found for me to use." "Oh," she had asked, now looking at him now in confusion. Deciding to make it easy on himself, Izuku moved the laptop to his desk and turned it to face Mei. "Melissa, meet Mei Hatsum. Mei, meet Melissa Shield. I'll let you to talk while I get back to the boots," he said, leaving them to talk. "Greenie, why didn't you tell me you knew Shield?" she said, turning back to the computer. "Nice to meet you. Name, Mei Hatsum, future CEO of Hatsum Industry. Creation still pending. Nice to make your acquaintance," she finished, confidence booming in her voice. "Nice to meet you as well. You already know my name. How did you and Midoriya meet?" she asked, now turning fully to meet her eye. "We ran into each other at Takoba Beach. Then I showed him some of my babies and hell fell in love with them. He had to have my number." Mei respond, then chiming in from the side, "She calls her gear her babies, and she asked me for my number so we could hang out and brainstorm ideas together," Izuku said, slight embarrassment in his voice. "Ah, I was about to ask, so you also invent Hatsum?" Melissa had asked. "Yep, and also call me Mei. Greenie here already does." "At your request, Mei," spoke Izuku, cutting Mei off. Details. Anyway, Greenie, how's it going with the boots?" Mei asked, turning back to the printer. "It's going good. I almost got all the parts one could salvage from the originals. Now I just need to start putting them back together and digin the vents to stop them from melting again," he said, throwing the melted boots away and taking apart the replacement skates, even if they're a bit big on him. "So, are you almost done with the printer, Mei?" "I was done a while ago. I just needed to borrow your laptop to make a test print, which, luckily for me, You just handed it to me right when I need it. So just let me do this, and she said, trailing off as she was looking for a good model for the test print. All right, found one. You have a weird browser greenie. I didn't even know about people making weapons that could transform, she said, uploading the file to the printer. Izuku looked confusion until it hit him. May, I need to see my laptop real quick, he said, digging himself out of his mess and scrambling to get up. May, what are you talking about? Melissa had asked, unaware about Izuku rising panic. Here, I'll send you the link, May said, already typing it up to be sent. Wait, screamed Izuku, putting his hand on a mouse pad. He looked at the screen to see it already sent, with 2 notification sound going off. He looked at May, seeing her phone in her hand, then hearing a scream, looked at his computer to see Melissa on the floor with a phone in her lap and a Moogle fly off screen. Izuku, what was that? Melissa screamed at him. And what kind of name is Hiccup? Asked May, his headache already going for what is now going to have to explain to both of his friends. Thank you for joining us on this journey through What If Deku downloaded Multiverse app. We hope you found it as captivating as we did. A big thank you to Rain-27 for creating such an engaging story. Don't forget to visit their profile on archiveofourown.org for more fantastic works. The link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Zen and Fanfics for more intriguing explorations into fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we love hearing your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you soon in the next video.